Okay, okay. Settle down, everyone. Keep your socks on. Ace up. Oi, oi. Loner pog. Soy. Lot of red. Okay, okay. Hello. How the hell is everyone? I'm okay, thanks for asking. I had a good day today. I went out for a walk. I was able to because there was a fucking blizzard that lasted about a whole week. And then the subsequent 4 or 5 days when the snow was melting, just was, you couldn't go out, just sliding everywhere. The entire pavement for 20 minutes was just like a sledge, like an ice rink. How do I sound? Been a while since I got this microphone fixed, but I think it's good. If you need me to go louder, you can always let me know, and I will do. Yeah, sounding like butter. I'll take that as a positive. Yeah, there is a reason I haven't streamed too much lately. Long story short, we're going to be starting up on Twitch very soon. The regular YouTube streams will come to an end. So if you would like to see more of these in the future, go down below. There is a Twitch subbies link. Get on there, press the button, smash it, press it lightly. Josh Woods with $5. I'm glad you missed my streams. I've missed you too. I've missed that fucking wheel animation going over my head as I say things. Yeah, eventually, there will be uploads on a second YouTube channel, but I think I'm gonna separate my streaming from my fucking live videos, my prepared videos. The Discord link is broken. No, that's not possible. It's the one I always use. What? Oh shit. That's interesting. Yeah, Discord chat is frozen. Nothing new, guys. Nothing new. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed recently that links that I post in YouTube videos work for me, but not when I get them from the YouTube description, which is baffling. I don't understand that. Who is the definitely not a Nazi? He's someone who has been wandering around in my Discord for a few months, in and out, and yeah, he's offered a debate. I don't know if I should leak the terms of the debate. He'll probably mention them. There's a few interesting caveats, a few interesting terms that he's set out for me, but you know, we'll manage. Check. If anyone actually has a working link for the Discord that they can grab quickly, can you send that to me? Because it should be. I don't know why it's not working from the YouTube. I'm guessing someone panicked and locked it without telling me. Will this debate require booze for me to get through? Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it's gonna last very long. It depends. I've seen his back catalogue. At least from what he was willing to send me. He says he's debated Vosh already. He's debated Socialism Done Left. I've seen those 2 videos. He also said he's debated Count Dankula, which I haven't seen. I couldn't find the link to that. Is this the anti-transport? Yeah. I think the Vosh video was the one called. I mean, I don't really want to. You know, maybe he's improved as a human being since then. We won't poison the well with his past performances. But that Discord chat. I'm gonna go create an invite link. Here we go. Copy. Someone else can paste it in YouTube chat because I can't do that. I'm gonna edit the YouTube video and put it in the description. Discord. You see, that's baffling to me. It's the same link. The one that works when you get it from Discord chat is the same as the one that's in the description. YouTube's weird. I don't know. That's not my fault. Fuck you. I'm gonna go and message this guy, see if he's what he's after. I'm streaming now. We'll call you. Yeah, we've got about 8 minutes. God, so much has happened since I last streamed. We've got a new president in America, and therefore, international politics is going to be. I'd like to live in a world where I don't have to be updated with what's happening in America all the time. I don't care for this imperialism. We had a riot on the Capitol. I covered that riot. The last time I streamed was when that riot happened. Like, the news broke half an hour before I went on. And we were just breaking news live. It was amazing. However, YouTube got rid of the video because, well, they didn't get rid of it. They took it down because they said it violated their policy on electoral fraud. Because I spent a good chunk of it playing devil's advocate and saying, well, if you believe the election was stolen, then maybe this actually does make sense. Like they're doing what people should do if an election gets stolen from them. And because I, spoke as if from their perspective, saying, well, the election's been stolen, no one's going to help. But I'm guessing some fucking dickhead or whatever maybe clipped it, or YouTube's algorithm just found me saying the election was stolen, and I appealed it because it's bullshit. And yeah, I guess because I'm still not big enough, I might have to take it to Twitter. I might have to make that a public thing. We might have to do a hashtag call out on YouTube. But it's that typical thing, when YouTube did a Nazi purge, a bunch of people who debunked Nazis got taken down as well because they were sharing swastikas in their videos and shit like that. No, Vosh debated this guy a few months ago. This was like not long after the Tim Pool debate, I think. I didn't see Cynical Historian's video on it. Maybe I will. I'd like to actually react to content that I like because I feel like there's a lot of I don't know. It's an unexplored genre. Definitely more productive to react to left-wing content than it is to just scream at right-wing stuff. Yeah, I know Vosh debated someone very, like, not a Nazi thing, like yesterday or something, but no, this is someone different. This is someone from a long time ago. Not that, a few months. He was the guy who debated Vosh on the Trotsky question. You know, the one. And he's, word for word, it's the same contention. Remember that context doesn't matter to the deplatform? Yeah, because that's the problem. Like, I mean, I do agree with the deplatforming. Like, yeah. It's just that you just know it's not like, there's not like a YouTube ethics committee or a Twitter ethics committee doing it. They're doing it because in a way that's profitable, in a way that they don't actually care who gets caught in the crossfire. So, yeah. Bluefmaster, you can't send messages in the Discord because you haven't clicked through the rules, I'm guessing. You have to agree to the rules before you can speak in the Discord. What are my pronouns? He, him. Who am I? Yeah, it's no one anyone knows. Here, I would play the piano, but I'm yet to find a way that lets me stream it without latency. Bosch is worse than Dankula, hot take. He has a worse accent, that's very true. Fuck off. People can't, there's no way you can't access my Twitter page as well, no way. Maybe if you highlight the YouTube link and then copy paste it into your browser. Has this guy replied to me yet? Liar box classic. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm just gonna call them. So the guy did try to hang out in my Discord for a bit, but didn't last. Yeah, this is so fucking stupid. I don't know why. Like, YouTube links aren't working because it happened with my Patreon. I had messages from people saying they couldn't access my Patreon. People saying they couldn't access the Twitch. Like, I don't know. They're all working links. Like, if I paste them into the browser, they work. But if I grab them from YouTube, they don't work. It's getting to me. Don't know. Can't help you guys. Yeah, Boomer can't link. Soy. Yeah, no, but if you if you actually just type the link in, like the same words, it works, right? Am I a soy boy? Yeah, of course. Imagine not being a soy boy in 2021. If you just got in, you haven't missed anything. I thought I would have a word with chat before I started. I'm a bit bothered that I don't think my light's working. It keeps on defaulting to red. I don't like a red light. I want a purple light. Stay! Fuck's sake. Maybe... Okay. When you plug it in, it doesn't work. Okay. We'll see how long that lasts. Wait, what would explain why the Discord link didn't work? It adds the why? What? Soy. I'm really pissed. Fuck. That's really why? Why are you doing this to me? Angry box. Fuck's sake. Discord. Okay. Copy. YouTube video description. Paste. Pepe. I'll put in like a Discord. Save. Video link. Come on. Okay. Okay. Discord link. Open a new tab. Okay, the Discord works now. I've just pasted it in. It works. Can we confirm? Why is the chat Discord though? Because have you ever haha. Have you ever seen well, that's a lot of people who just joined. Yeah, have you because have you ever seen what happens when you make YouTube chat the default chat for streaming? Disgusting. shithole. Not that I don't like you guys. It's just that it doesn't look nice. Anyway, without further ado, fucking light. Okay, we're going without light.
Testing, testing. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you're maybe a bit louder than me, but I can fix that on here.
Okay, very good. So, let's go ahead and look at the first.
Wait. Let's just get chat to confirm that they can hear you. I think they can. Yeah, they can hear you. Okay.
Okay, very good. So, let's go with the first one. Bolshevism, that being Marxism, Leninism, was Patterson espoused in and by the Soviet Union, was top-heavy with Jews and fundamentally based on, in part, Jewish plagiarism. This one is very easy to prove. The reasons for why this is, people may disagree, but this is very true, and it's. So let's go ahead and look at the data for this. So we can go ahead and see. There you go. We can go ahead and see that even in this book was actually written by Mr. Shlomo. He works at Harvard. He said, quote, in a letter to his Dutch uncle, his, of course, referring to Marx. This is a book about Marx. Uncle Lion Phillips. Lion Phillips, he was a prominent Jewish industrialist, financier, and banker. In 1816, Marx playfully referred to Disraeli as unser Staganosse, our tribesman or our tribal colleague, end quote. Now, what we find from this is Marx was clearly aware of his Jewish roots. This is, I mean, people often deny this, but we can see very clearly that Marx, in his own letters, he understood very clearly that he was a Jew and associated willfully with other Jews. I don't really, I don't really expect anything less of him, but people like to deny it. So this is only to go ahead and point out that that is clearly false and just contrary to the historical record. But it isn't only this that proves that Marxism, at least fundamentally, is Jewish in intention. No. We can refer to many other things as well. For example, we can refer to Bolshevism, the offspring of Orthodox Marxism. Bolshevism, of course, coming about in the Russian quotation marks revolution. We can see very clearly, according to the Defender, Wichita, Kansas, for February 1936, the Central Committee of the Communist Party in Moscow, Center of International Communism, consisted of 59 members, of whom 56 were Jews, and the other 3 were married Jewesses. The figures are given in other journals also. The list is as follows, and I assume that you can see my screen here. It's quite a long list of Jewish names. The non-Jews married Jewesses, so we can consider them to be Jewish influenced because, they clearly are. Lev Stalin, SS Loba, Vyazhinsky, this is already known. Stalin himself wasn't a Jew, although he had Jewish children who married other Jews and also a Jewish father.
Wait, can I cut you? You've already made a few claims. I just want to take one at a time. First of all, we're talking about the contention that, let me find your word for word. Soviet Union was top heavy with Jews and fundamentally based on, in part, Jewish plagiarism. So
yes, we can get to that.
You just spent the beginning speaking. I'm not finished. You just spent the beginning speaking about how Marx was a Jew and had Jewish. I don't know if that really proves anything.
Right, so
he's probably got some of the most.
To give my point, you interrupt me, and also as well, I did.
Yeah, I'm interrupting you because you're trying to monologue. I'm sorry.
Is at least fundamentally partially Jewish, but because Engels, he was ostensibly not a Jew. We can address that claim later on. I have a tab open for that too. In fact, I have a tab open for every element of that claim. The fact that you interrupt me, and then you go ahead and dare try and get me to stop giving my proofs for my various claims, which you already agreed that I did in fact make, it's absurd.
Well, yeah, because I'm not letting you use my stream to just monologue. This is a two-way conversation.
Monologuing. I'm trying to. I think I just have to answer your link. I'm not monologuing. I'm trying to prove something. The fact that you think me trying to prove individual parts of the claim is monologuing, it's
if it may, okay, carry on. One more claim. That's fair.
So far? What have I said so far? If I'm monologuing, then surely you must know something I've said. because I've been talking for ostensibly so long, right?
Yeah, no, you can continue. I'm over it. Go on.
Okay,
Go on.
good. So, the first part of the claim, Bolshevism not being Marxism, Leninist practice and espoused in and by the Soviet Union top heavy with Jews, we're getting to that right now. Like, you can see my screen very clearly. Like, I'm getting to that. Like, I was actually on that when you stopped me, but also we have more too. So, according to the defendant, Wichita, Kansas, already read all of that, you can see these are the individuals that are variously Jewish influenced by via of their marriage. We have Jews 56. We have Belinsky, K.J. Bauman, Weinberg, Steingart, and very other. As you can see, very clearly not Russian names at all. Stein, Berg, Witz, Iski. But we can also see as well, in a World Service Bulletin for November 15, 1935, a list was printed the provincial secretaries or governors of the Soviet Union, each of whom is a dictator in the literal sense of the term. They dictate the policy of where their region is. And a personal representative of Stalin. This is also true. Stalin headed the executive branch. The list contained 49 names. It comprised 41 Jews, 4 Russians, 2 Armenians, 1 Georgian, and 1 Buryat, which was stated to have been reprinted from the Russian newspaper Novye Slovo, the New World, published in Berlin, October 27, 1935. We don't need to read all this. This is just about the foreign ministers, although that does prove my point. But the list of Jews at that point would get very long, and I'm not going to sit there and read like 300 Jewish names. You get the point. So we can see, at least in the party cabinet as well as the governors, Jews were very clearly overrepresented. They didn't represent, I assume you would agree with me on a preliminary level, they didn't represent roughly 99% of the population, right? So we agree then that these numbers are clearly disproportionate. Like having almost all of the cabinet be Jewish and also almost every governor in the union be Jewish is very out of proportion with their numbers, right?
Right. Okay, so
Okay,
first of all,
well, hold on. We agree then, at least in part, on something that I've said, that being Bolshevism was top heavy with Jews, at least in these particular areas, the governors and the government. But it's not just that. We can move on to other sectors of the government. Because
can I respond to at least one of your claims, please?
You've already agreed with one, and I'm trying to get you to.
What have I agreed with?
That's the point of having a conversation in regards to at least politics.
I agreed with the fact that not 99% of Russians were Jewish. Yeah, I agreed with that.
Agree with them. I have the list of names in front of me. It's undeniable. Yes, those names are clearly Jewish. You already admitted that.
I've agreed that the names are Jewish. Okay, I'm going to mute you for a second. So first of all, the claim that I think you've derived this from, although I can see why you didn't claim the original source, was from the author who said that with this list of names, that the majority of the central committees in the Soviet Union were made up of people from New York. I can see why you didn't bring that up. Yeah, the Central Committee, as well as the other executive branches, the Executive Committee, the Party Central Committee. You're still muted, don't worry. So if you're still talking, you're still muted. I'm going to... the one source I looked at for the demographics of the Soviet Union was that roughly about 4% of people in Russia at the time of the revolution were Jewish, and then the historian Jeffrey Herf, who's quite a respected man in the field, looked at the membership of the Executive Committee, the Party Central Committee, the Presidium of the Executive of Soviets of the USSR. 27 out of 417 of them were Jewish, i.e. 6%. So around 4.5% of the population Jewish and 6% being Jewish. So I don't know where your source is that the Soviet Union was full of Goldsteins is. I'd like to see the source for that, if you don't mind. You're unmuted, by the way. You're unmuted. I can hear you typing very loudly and quickly, but I don't know what you're saying. Yeah, I know. I'm saying this person counted the Central Committee and the Executive Committee. That's why I said...
Muted?
No, I unmuted you. I told you.
Right, so the Central Committee and the Executive Committee are, at least according to the numbers that you've given me, clearly different, considering the fact that the Central Committee of the party, at least, it never had hundreds of members. Like that's clearly bullshit.
I'm saying the sum total. The sum total.
What that guy's probably referring to, I think it's probably just a mistranslation of the documents, is the Presidium. The Presidium of the state, perhaps. But even that had, like, I think it was about 60 members. So I honestly don't know what he's referring to, like, at all. Like, I assume this is clearly some sort of mistranslation on their part. So I advise you to give me the original document that they were referenced in, so I can go ahead and read it myself.
Yeah, I've got the source here. It's
No,
from
no,
The
no,
Jewish
no, no.
Enemy by Jeffrey Hirth. I've
That's
also
the
got the
book.
stats of the Central
I've already
Committee.
read that book, but give me the source that he cited.
What is it? Footnote 17? That's footnote 17 of the Jewish Enemy.
No, that giving me the name of a book, but not the book, is irrelevant. Like, right.
You
give me
haven't.
the original source, like I've just done for you. Like I can give you the name of the source and the original source, and also quote it directly.
Okay, you can
All
link
right?
the source,
But
then go
I'm
on.
asking you to do the same.
You haven't
I'm
linked me your
asking you
source.
to give me whatever document he's got, presumably in the original language, and then just give that to me so I can read it. Because I think there's probably some mistranslation here. Because those numbers are clearly off. He's clearly describing something different.
Why? No, he's adding them up. He's adding the
Adding
Central
what
Committee
up?
with the Central Executive Committee, the executive of the Soviets, of the
There was
USSR,
never
and
a
the Russian
central
Republic.
executive. You're making things up. What documents are you referring to? Give me them now.
Okay.
Don't give me the book or the note. Just give me the documents in Russian so I can read them. Because this is clearly bullshit.
You won't believe that. Okay, unless I give you the source in
There was a central
Russian.
committee and there was an executive committee. But the central executive committee, this is a pure invention of yours. It never existed.
It's not my invention. If it's
And
an
I've studied
invention,
this
it's
for
definitely
many
not
years.
mine.
So please, if I'm missing something,
I've
then I
got a
tell me
stat on the
something.
Central
In
Committee
my
as well,
many
if you
years of
want that.
study, I'm going to be very surprised and also thankful.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'd still like to see the source that the Soviet Union was full of Goldsteins.
Give me the source. I asked first, I get first. Just give me the source, okay? I'll make sure that you don't go ahead and skip over that. So I
Okay.
want the source for the claim. I see a message. That's not the source. That's the book, which has a note in it that links to the source. So give me the thing that it's linking.
You want me to go and
Yes,
look
I want
through
you to
the
give me a
footnotes?
Russian authentic document that has the list of names. I can list off the names of the Central Committee. I want the names of the Executive Central Committee because I don't think that exists.
Well,
but
the
also
original
just
source for
because I
your
want to
claim
know
is a
who's
Nazi. I know the source.
claiming someone's a Nazi is irrelevant here. Okay, give me your source. I want a source for the
Whether or
claim.
not a source is a Nazi is irrelevant on the issue of Jewish composition of the Soviet Union.
Note that the name of the source isn't the source itself. Just in case you use me. There you go. So, give me that.
I'm not going to sit here and go through a source and find you the Russian
So you're not,
translation.
right. So I want to be very clear. You're not going to give me the source for your claim.
Will you give me yours?
Yes, if you give me yours.
Only if I.
First,
Why?
remember?
Why does that matter?
Because I asked
You're trying to
first.
prove something
So,
to me.
enough with the questions, okay? Are you going to give me your source for your claim about a government organ which I'm pretty sure never existed to begin with?
Okay, I'm just going to be very concise. This claim is
Is it
so
yes or no? Are you
cataclysmically
going to give me the
stupid
source, or are you
that
not going
I don't even need to, like, the fact that I've provided
So
one
are you
source
going to
is
give me
more
the source for
dignifying than I
your
need to be.
claim about the Central Executive Committee? Hold up. I want the source for the claim about the Central Executive
I can hear. Why are you saying it and then typing it to me?
Committee. Because I don't think I'm pretty sure that never existed. But if it does exist, I want those sources.
Footnote 7. I'm not. I'm sorry.
That's a
No
footnote.
fucking way. You.
What is a footnote?
Why are you citing a
What is a
source
footnote?
that thought most of the
What
leaders
is
of
a
the
footnote?
Central Committee
Please
were
tell
from
me.
New York?
Please tell me. What is a footnote?
A footnote is a reference. It's a reference to the
Exactly.
original
Well, no,
source.
hold on now. What is it a reference to?
It would be a reference to the original source.
Right now, so I'm asking you, okay, to give me the original source. If you provide me with a book which has a citation of the original source, is that giving me the original source itself?
I thought you were trying to
No.
prove a claim to me.
You answered the first question. Answer this one.
You're the one trying to prove a claim to me.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes or
If
no
you
to
give
what?
me, right, I'll say it again, and I'll say it very slowly. Don't interrupt this time, okay? You already agree what a footnote is. If you give me a book which has a footnote in it that relates to a source, is that giving me the source itself? Yes or no?
No, it's not giving you the source itself. No.
Okay,
I'm
right,
not a
now,
historian.
I want to make it clear for the audience.
That's why I trust
I am
historians.
asking, not for the footnote or the book which has the footnote, but for the thing that the footnote is noting to begin with. That being the original source.
I mean, I've
Now,
showed you that I'm
I
citing
asked
a
you,
respected
Nicholas,
historian.
very directly and very clearly, so you, me, and the audience understand. Will you give me the original source for your claim relating to, and I quote here, the Central Executive Committee, end quote? Yes or no?
You're not. Can we move on from this?
Yes
This
or
is an
no?
insanely boring point. You want
It's
to
a
find
simple
a.
question.
You
I
want
can
me to
write it out
claim.
if you don't believe it.
You want me like I can't make a
Yes
claim
or
about
no?
Russia without providing you
Yes
a
or
source
no?
that's in Russian. Is that
Yes
really
or
the
no?
standard? This is so fucking boring. Holy shit.
Yes or no? Will you
Okay, I've muted you. I've muted you again. So maybe I'll just speak to chat instead. So the reason we defer to historians is because if someone in the historical or academic community thinks they've discovered something, then we can generally trust their claims because when they think they've discovered something, they get to call a conference, and you're still talking. They get to call a conference, they get to present said information to a group of historians in the community, and those people go by their job is to scrutinize and to poke holes. So it's gone through a very rigid process of scrutiny, more so than any claim possible. Whereas if you say that the Soviet Union was full of New York Jewish leaders, then you just post that on a neo-Nazi website and you're in an echo chamber. That's it. That's why we defer to historians. That's why it's okay to cite a reputable historian without providing the original claim in Russian. That's why it's okay, because I'm actually citing someone who has reputation within the field, and you haven't. Okay, you're still talking, by the way. I'll unmute you. Guess what he's going to say when I unmute him?
will you give me the source?
Okay, I've muted you again. He's just. Do you have the original source in German for Karl Marx's Jewishness?
Is nothing.
You're still muted, by the way. Don't worry. Like, well, I brought you on stream to talk to you, but if you're just going to keep repeating the same point. He's still talking. Like, you are muted. Okay, he's shouting now. Why would I lie to you? Why would I do that? Would you prefer to move with a conversation if I just assumed what you said is true? So we'll assume what I'm assuming it's true. If I assume it's true, if I assume that the Soviet Union was full of people called Goldstein, can we move on and talk about why that matters?
So
I'm offering. Yeah, let's move on. Thank you.
So let's go. Now you're interrupting me. That's very unkind.
You're
let's
unmuted.
go to the next point. Bolshevism, blah blah blah, was top heavy with Jews. Do we agree on this?
What? No, you'd have to provide statistical evidence for that for me to be satisfied.
I mean, we can statisticalize this. So,
statistical.
Okay, go on. Roughly about 4%. I prefer personally to use the 1897 imperial census and use Yiddish because a lot of Jews in the Russian Empire they didn't give their religion in the census for obvious reasons, right?
Yeah, I've got that.
So we use the language because the language encompasses them both. If you're a Jew in Russia in the 1800s, you're still going to speak Yiddish regardless of if you're an atheist or not. That's your native tongue, and it's going to probably stay that way. Granted, there were probably some Jews who spoke Russian as their first language, but they're probably a minority. So we use that. From that, we get, I think it was about 3% or 4%, somewhere around this. Let's get a middleman, 3.5. Okay, let's use 3.5. So.
Are you sure about that? I thought it was 4.15% were Jewish, so surely the Yiddish composition would be higher.
I mean,
if you said
again,
they lied.
I said 3 or 4%. Also, I mean, 4.17 is close to 4. But either way, though, I've seen different numbers. But again, I'm using.
This is from the Russian Empire census, right?
You keep interrupting me whilst I'm trying to talk about the census data. This isn't even a contentious point now.
This
I'm
bolsters
just
your
trying
claim.
to tell you things about the census data. Hell, we don't even need to use the middleman number. We can go with the higher number of 4.17. It makes very little difference to me. Either way, though, for the sake of the argument, let's use 4.17. Okay, I don't really care about the number. So 4.17. What we see from this is, if we go ahead and again look at all of these names, the names are clearly Jewish. That's only an indicator, but you know, we know that these various individuals are Jewish anyway, which is why they have Jewish names. Still, we can see that 56 are Jews, 3 are married to Jews. So, for the sake of the argument, we'll count them as Jewish influenced, but overall, we'll go ahead and say that we'll count them as Jews, considering their children were Jewish, at least in the case of Stalin. With the others, I presume that they married Jews also, although I don't have the data on that at this moment because my files are somewhere else. So, we'll count them as Jews for now, all right? So, 100% Jewish Central Committee. The committee is the only committee because there's only one party that was allowed at this time until they liberalized later down the line in 1973. So 100% Jewish party cabinet. And keep in mind, by the way, that considering there's only one party allowed to run in elections, all of the people at the top of that party, which in essence constitutes the state and the government combined, because it's a one-party system, are Jewish.
This is empirically false, by the way.
Are you telling me there were other parties that were allowed to run?
No, this is empirically. The idea that the whole Central Committee was Jewish in 1917 is false.
I never said the
6 out
whole
of 21.
I
6
said
out
we're
of 21.
counting those 3
6.
individuals who are married to Jews as Jewish.
6
what was the reason I gave that?
Out of 21.
What was the reason that I gave that? Talking over me, you're not listening. So, I'll say it very slow, and I want you to try and repeat it back to me as best as you can, because at this point I'm convinced you're not listening. So, I said we will count these 3 individuals, L.F. Stalin, S.S. Laban, Vyazhinsky, we will count them as Jews. Why did I say that?
Oh, you said you didn't have the source for that, so I'm not going to believe that. You said your source wasn't available, so why would I believe that?
No, I said that for 2 individuals in that list.
Yeah, you said your documents were somewhere else, which means they're
Jews.
basically not
For
real.
what reason? What reason?
I don't care why. You can't back it up, so why are we assuming they're Jews? You said you could prove they were, but no.
And you also refused to give me sources. Interesting. I'm very much going to look at the recording of this, which I don't think is going to send me after I think.
Whoa, you're really fuzzy. You sound really, really fuzzy.
I'll say it very slowly, okay? And this is the second time.
You sound like you're 40 feet away from your mic.
You're much like an intimate child.
Okay, I'm just going to mute you again because you were crackling really, really hard. So you said that 100% of the people in the Central Committee were Jews by 1917, and that's demonstrably false. I'll unmute you when I can hear you properly again, but you just sound like you're saying vowels in a fish tank through a 100-year-old microphone. I'll try calling you back, actually. Let's see. Okay, I just disconnected. I'll try joining again. I can't hear you. Okay, you're back. Okay. Where were we? Go.
What about now?
Yeah, you're clear. Well, clear as you can be with it.
Okay, right, so I'll say it very slowly, and I want you to try and repeat at least the essence of what I've said back to me, because at this point I'm convinced you are not listening. All right, so I said I will count the 3 people as Jews for the sake of statistical analysis, okay, because at least in the case of Stalin, okay, their children were Jews. However, as an important addendum to this, I will add that in the case of the children, or perhaps lack thereof, of the other 2 members of, and you're interrupting me, of the other 2 members of this trio, okay, I don't have evidence on those other 2 people, but considering the general secretary of the party, the leading member of those 2 other people, who did have Jewish children and is also in this particular group, we shall use him for the analysis. And I would do the same if it was either the others. if Vyazhinsky was the General Secretary, I would do the same. And I'd probably get a similar result anyway, but I digress. Repeat back to me, okay, as simple as you can. What have I said?
You're going to count 3 people as Jews. Okay. What's the point?
Why? No, why? Why did I do it? Why am I doing that?
Honestly, you were crackling and I zoned out. Something to do with them having children? I don't. I'm just gonna take your word for it. So what's your point?
But no, hold on now, okay? Right, so let's go through this very slowly. So these 3 people, for the sake of the argument, are Jews, right?
Yeah. For the sake of
other
argument.
people, no, 56 other people are also Jews. This is very obvious from the names, but we know from other documents these people are also Jews as well. This would make, in total, 56 plus 3, 59. If all of the 59 members are Jewish, it's 100%.
59 members of what?
I told you, of the Central Committee of the Communist Party.
The Central Committee only had 21 members.
Right, again, give me those original documents, because at this point, I'm convinced that that second document that you're supposed to be referencing about the 29 members, that came from 1917, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what you were talking about, wasn't it?
No, I'm right. See my screen, right?
Yeah, hang on. Yeah.
This. See, you weren't even looking at the screen. Amazing. So, what does this say?
1936. Let me find that source,
So,
actually. Can you send me the link to that? What is it? It's a book, right?
No, this is no what? No, dude, look, this is a newspaper. Otherwise, it wouldn't say 4 February 1936.
No, it's a.
But,
but the source is a book. It's got like 100. You're on page 108.
No, right. The book isn't a source. It contains sources within it. This is why it says according to X or in a world service Y.
Chat, does that look like an original Russian translation to you?
No.
Or does that look like a book?
If the book was the source, it wouldn't have like any other sources within it.
What?
Right?
Like that's the same as a footnote. That's just it's citing. So what?
Yes, okay. It is. Like the footnote is like these are citing original documents, and I'll get you those after the conversation is over.
Can you give me this? Can you give me a link to this book, please? Because you've got it as a PDF. I want to. Yes, what's the title? Just give me the title or the author.
I'm trying. Holy dude, you keep making requests. I'm trying to answer the first one, but you keep talking. Just stop, dude. All right. So this book, okay, this book is called Communism Unmasked. I'll go ahead and get you it. There it is. I'll go ahead and send you that. Keep in mind, this book, and I want to be very clear for the chat here, okay? This book is not a source, despite what the host is saying. This book is a book. The book references sources.
You know, everyone knows that books contain sources, right?
Well, clearly not you, all right? So I want to make that very clear for the chat. Here's the book. All right? So.
Communism Unmasked.
Right, so would you agree with me that providing that the things I've said, well, the things that are on my screen right now, also, again, you can Google all these names. I sent you the book, and you can see very clearly, I mean, even from the names they're Jewish, but also that their families are Jewish too, right? So, providing...
Is this by, sorry, is this by Abba Gordon?
Right. Please stop interrupting me.
I'm asking you to back up.
I literally said stop interrupting. Please stop interrupting me, and then you interrupt me as I'm saying.
Is the book by Abba Gordon? I just wanted to know so I can find it.
Stop. You know who the book is by. You can look. Like, dude, hold on. I'll fucking show you.
Just confirming.
Like, look.
Yeah, it is. You could have said yes. You could have just said yes.
MBA. All right. You can see over here. It's also published by the New Times Limited. All right. One. There you go. One plus.
Look at this fucking cover. Like this, like Illuminati fucking. Look at that little star. Oh, wait, hang on. Here we go.
Okay. Now, let's get back to this. So, providing, okay, that what I've said so far is accurate. That being, the people with Jewish names are in fact Jews, and they're not just mass changing their names. All right. Providing they are Jews. Even if we just count Stalin and his Jew children and all of the other people, all right? Even if we only count verified Jews, okay, this would still be, if we accept 4.17 as the actual number of Jews, male and female, in the Union at this
Why
time.
are you just naming Jews then if you've got
Could be
statistical
an
backing?
overrepresentation of many thousands of times, right?
You're just naming Jews to me. Like, what? Can you get to the point? It's taken
The
like
question.
nearly
What's the question?
half an hour. Yeah.
What's the question?
Sorry.
Guys, you're not listening again. All right? You seem to have a problem with this, and this problem results in a very, very long conversation with very little in it. I want to try and avoid that.
You've tried to
Now,
spend
you want
half
me
an
to write out
hour
the
naming
question for
Jews
you?
and talking about their Jew children and their
You
Jew
want me to
families
write out
and
the
listing
question
off
for
Jewish
you?
names.
Want me to write out the question for you, sir?
Yeah, you can write a question to me if you want.
Very good. All right. Make sure, by the way, on your stream that you're looking at the things I'm
It's
writing
here.
down. All right.
Here we go. Here we go.
Otherwise, me talking about that is going to be sort of irrelevant, and it's not going to be too much. So, right, I'll ask the question. Okay.
You are typing so aggressively.
No, I'm just typing normally. My mic is apparently very sensitive, at least according to you and you alone.
While you're typing, could you explain the cover of this book to me?
But yeah, sure. The cover of the book is relevant to me. I just covered the data. Hold on.
I just think if you want to spread propaganda about Jewish conspiracism, you could probably do it with at least a bit of
There you go.
subtlety. Like,
Okay,
this isn't even like effective propaganda. This is fucking insane. What have you typed? Okay, I haven't typed. Have you ever considered dog whistling? I feel like you'd have a bit more luck than listing off Jewish names and
There you go.
saying 100% of the Central Committee were Jewish and sending me a book that has an Illuminati
It's a simple
circle
yes
with
or no
a
question.
Star of David hanging over the top
It's a
of it.
simple yes or no question.
In the people in this list with Jewish names are indeed Jewish, then even if we discount Stalin, wait, what?
You don't understand the English?
No, because this here is not a statistical point of evidence that most of the Central Committee was Jewish. This is just you listing Jewish names that were present in the party.
No, read it again. Read it slow, because I don't think you understand this.
If the people in this list with Jewish names are indeed Jewish, then even when we discount with Stalin and his Jew children and so on, the Jewish population was very much overrepresented by many hundreds of times if we accept that the number of Jews as, that's a really strangely worded sentence, as 4.17 of the total population, correct? No, you need to provide statistical evidence that the Central Committee was overrepresented
what do you think
by
a statistic is?
Numbers.
Elaborate.
A collection of. I don't need to elaborate on what statistics are.
That there are 56 Jew names on this screen right now. There are 56 Jewish.
Oh, there on that screen there are 100%. Yeah, in this book that has the cover of the Illuminati circle
we seem to have to go very slow, but only with you for some reason.
This list of Jewish names. Yes, you have a list of 56 names that could be that are Jewish. Yeah.
You defined statistics.
Where did these people come from? Are these people were they from Russia?
Statistics as initially numbers. I'm quoting directly, numbers. This was your only response, numbers. All right. You then said, after I pressed you, a collection of numbers. Is 56 not a collection of numbers?
It's a collection of names, and it's not actually a claim that says about the composition. If you want to prove the composition, you would just say.
Is the number 56 a collection of numbers?
Yeah, it's a collection of numbers. Yeah.
Okay, right.
If we redefine statistics to this very narrow thing that we've come up with on stream, then yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, like
Goldstein,
Bromstein, Bloomberg. That's a statistic right there.
The page
Got him.
Has numbers in it.
Okay, I'm going to mute you again. So what I wonder about you is like you're muted. You're muted. You're still talking. What I'm wondering about you is like, why don't you just resort to like dog whistling? Because this is just so transparently fucking insane. I don't really. He's still. I can hear him like through my headphones, just in the corner there. Yeah, I didn't really prepare that much for this debate because I kind of knew that he would cite something that has very questionable aesthetics. He would list Jewish names. I know he did that in the past, and that he would get very, very, very flippant if I, asked him basic questions. So he's still talking, by the way. If I click, I can't hear him with my headphones on, but he stopped. You still there? Yeah, okay. You're typing to me still. No, you're unmuted.
Okay. What have you like? What question am I giving you? Because I've given you another question, but you didn't answer.
What, the question about if the people on the list? No, that doesn't prove that there's an overrepresentation.
No, that's the
No,
first
the answer is
question.
no.
What was the other question? The question that I just gave you a few seconds ago.
I had my headphones off. Did you not see me? I told you my headphones were off.
I'm not watching your stream, dude.
I told
looking
you.
at
I
data.
said my headphones were off.
Yeah, you said a lot of things, pal. Like I'm just waiting for answers to the question.
Well,
So
you'll have to answer it again.
I will speak very, very slowly, okay? I can write it out as well as I'm speaking if you really want me to, okay? But I'm going to be as simple as possible to try and relay this to you because you seemingly don't understand anything beyond ones and twos in relation to numbers, okay? So, you know what? I want you to repeat after me, all right? After I'm done with this, and I'll say it very simply, okay? If you define statistics as, quote, numbers, end quote, and I present you.
I can't go into this. Is fucking, yes, I agree that 56 is a number. I got you, yeah.
Say it all back, or at least as much as you can.
Are you part of a community? I worry that
I said it very slowly.
Do you ever worry that like your Nazi friends might be a bit embarrassed by this?
If you don't understand.
Like I've spoken to a few Nazis before, but they kind of like they're a lot more subtle. They like to dog whistle. They like to.
Can you repeat it back to me at all?
Be misleading. Like you're trying to do it with the statistics
Can you repeat
definition,
it back to me at all?
What?
Can you repeat anything I've said?
What, the statistics are numbers? Yeah, I agreed. The statistics are numbers. Yeah.
No, right. That is something that I said, but not the whole thing. Like, what was the? Well, I said a sentence. I said what?
Okay, I'm muting you again. No, you're muted again. Like this is such a boring fucking conversation. You haven't provided statistical evidence that there's a Jewish overrepresentation in the Central Committee because you can't. Because this is a very, very long-standing conspiracy theory that has been debunked several times. It originated from someone who thought that the majority of the upper echelons of the Soviet Union were from like Brooklyn. So I can see why you've conveniently left that part out. Yeah, I don't. I mean, it's very particular treatment. Can we just talk about the whole issue of like why this matters to you? Like that would be much more interesting. Yeah, I want to know like why. Like, what do you think it means? What if? Okay, unmuted. What if we just pretend for your sake that 100% of the Bolshevik Party were Jews? What would that mean to you?
Because this isn't how debate works. Debate doesn't work if we just start skipping around and just blocking points.
But you've got a very big opportunity to let the world know what exactly like this means to you, why this is important to you.
Please just repeat it.
Why the list of Jewish names in the Central Committee is important to you. I just want to know.
I didn't say that.
I promise you, this will make your job much more effective if you tell this very unsuspecting audience.
Can you boil down just to its essence all of what I've said so far? And please don't boil it down into you hate Jews, Lamar, but boil it down into the actual points that have been made.
I would never say that you hate Jews. I understand that you love Jews. You love Jews, right?
me into attacking you or whatever.
I'm not trying to.
You're
I'm
not
not
gonna
trying to.
work
Look,
here.
I'm giving you the chance to
What is my argument?
say
That is-
you do
that-
love Jews,
that is-
right?
What is the argument?
Do you love Jewish people?
What?
Do you love Jewish people?
Oh, love dudes. I love Jews. I mean, that's a question. I'm asking you the question, and I want an answer first.
Like Jews
Okay,
are just
so
people like
question
everyone else,
first,
right?
That's
Just
how
checking.
conversations work. So, what is my argument? Please, just repeat that to me.
Your argument is that what? Your argument is that this book with the Illuminati symbol and the Star of David has listed a bunch of Jewish names, claimed that there were more Jews than there were members in the Central Committee, which is
you're
interesting.
lying now. Just look at my screen.
Oh, you've got a question on your screen. Okay.
Screen.
Uh,
That's
oh.
the book I've been reading from.
You just
That's the
said
book
I've
that
muted you 5 times. I've muted you a lot more than 5 times.
I mean, you haven't.
That is a
5 times.
a statistical error, my friend. I've muted you again. You've lost. The fact that the fact that you think I've only muted you 5 times is very telling to me of your capabilities in gathering statistics. Okay, I hung up. Yeah, that was pretty. Thing is, he's first appeared in my Discord like 6 months ago, maybe a bit less, with the exact same claims. The fact that there were Jews in the Bolshevik Party was okay. As if that is proof of anything. The thing is that I kind of feel like the problem with what he's doing, even just as a propagandist, is that he's assuming that other people have the same presuppositions about Jews that he does. Like, but most people realize that Jewish people are just people like everyone else. So, yeah, I don't know. I do wonder, like, if his Nazi friends, like, how they feel about that kind of behavior. But since we're here, I did learn a little bit about that whole conspiracy theory while I was doing this. So, yeah. Basically, the claim was that because Lenin, I think, had Jewish roots, and because Trotsky was a Jew, this is like the kind of avenue that Nazis will use to prove that the Russian Revolution was a Jewish conspiracy to bring down the Russian Empire. So, first of all, obviously, if you just name some Jewish people, that doesn't really prove anything. The second thing is the whole statistical the thing that he didn't really bring up is kind of just built completely on conspiracism. The thing I got it from was this. There's this author, Stephen Plocker, who had asked how Jewish was the Bolshevik regime of the late 1910s, 20s, and 30s in Russia, and members of the Bolshevik central government, 95%, which is, you know, you don't need to be a statistician to realize that this is fucking insane. So, oh, I didn't share that. Sorry. Yeah, that's the graph that they use. %, apparently. However, you ask any reputable historian, and yeah, a lot of work has been done on this. A lot of census data has been gathered, and names from the Central Committee and historical analysis. Yeah, basically, it's complete bullshit. Like, Jewish people made up about 4% of the Russian population at the time of the revolution. There is a slight overrepresentation in that they were 5% of the party in 1917. Quite easily explained by the fact that the Russian Revolution happened in urban centers, and the urban population, Jews, were concentrated more in the cities than they were in the country. So, simple. And yeah, there's actually quite a few little caveats you can go around. One that I found quite interesting is that there was an anti-Bolshevik party, which was exclusive, which was not exclusively, but explicitly Jewish. It was a group called Jewish Bund. And in 1917, they had 33,000 members, which is more than the entire Bolshevik Party, 26,000. And yeah, there's the Russian Empire census. Bolshevik membership was 3.68% Jewish, and Russia at the time was 4.15. So again, underrepresented. There was a very brief time in the Central Committee. This is what they'll often cling to, is that in 1939, about 10% of the Central Committee was Jewish, so that's like double representation. That, interestingly, means nothing. What does that mean? Like, even if you take their arguments, like what? And another thing I found out that was really interesting was him trying to point out the Jewishness of Stalin, or the Jewish connections with Stalin. And if you look at the record of the Soviet Union with regards to the Holocaust, the Soviet Union by 1943, the Nazi death camps were pushed into the east, and they were in range of the Soviet Air Force. Stalin, notedly aware of this, was given the decision whether or not to destroy the gas chambers and the crematoria, and he didn't. Almost as if Stalin was also kind of racist. So, yeah, the camps were within bombing range of the Soviet Air Force, and Stalin chose not to hit the gas chambers or the crematoriums. So yeah. Interesting. I was hoping he would get to the whole why. That's actually like a more interesting conversation, because then you have to actually get to the whole question of like, what do you imagine, like Jews are just sitting there cackling in the dark room talking about how they're going to destroy white culture and all that shit. So I don't know. I did want to go on with that guy, but it's like you not get to a stage where you feel like you're kind of exploiting his I don't know. Like, he's been doing that for a very long time. Going in Discords, going on debates. Yeah, I don't know. That's what Nazism does to you kids. Loner Blocks, will you debate me on incels? Interesting. Do I want to debate incels? Who said that, actually? I would not be surprised if that guy was still talking into his mic. Where? Person asked if I wanted to talk about it. Mods, are you here? I have donos to go over, actually. Holy shit. Hebrew and Yiddish gang have your back. Yes. Yeah, he's in a room shouting yes or no, yes or no. Do I want to talk to a radical leftist Jew from Israel? That could be interesting. I'm not very good at consensus conversations, though, to be honest. I'm much better at screaming at people. Let me have a look. We have donos to look at, though. Come on. Aryan Singh Lote, Loner Box the Poon Slayer. Okay. I do not endorse that message. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Hey, there's quite a few there. Infidel Castro with $5. Change title to definitely a Nazi. Well, yeah. I mean, the definitely not just kind of means definitely. Yeah. Infidel Castro with the $10. Holy shit. Okay. Want to know the real secret? Wait, why is that? Come on, show me all of it. Want to know the real secret? Jewish or not, they were all European and white and male. Mind blown. True. Yeah, that's the other thing. This whole idea about disproportion of Jewish influence in finance and media. The most powerful and influential demographic in terms of disproportionality is white men. So there's a white men question, if anything. Alex Hansen with the $5. Thank you for your content. I suppose you're welcome. Yeah. Aryan Singh Lote. Yeah, I already did that one. We're caught up with Tonos. Amazing. Well, I've enjoyed this. Are there any other things I want to talk about? There's like a lot of you here. 800 people. Fucking hell. Let me see. Tell you what, mods, if you can go into the screening area and see if anyone else wants to say things to me. Because I'm in a reasonably good mood. Yeah. To be honest, I actually can't comment because I don't have the original Russian source. By that logic, I don't actually know if Russia's real. Okay. Carl, okay. Yeah, why not? Yeah. I might do some brief ones. See how it goes. Yeah, Carlo, go if you're in the Discord, go into the wherever it is, into the waiting room. You'll get screened there. Josh Woods with $5. Would you be interested in sharing your thoughts on patriotism at some point? Hit me up if you'd like to be more. That is something I do want to talk about. Holy shit, yeah. Because there was a thing in a viral Owen Jones clip talking about how like trying to kind of reinvent patriotism as a thing with the UK, that we should be proud of things like the NHS and the fact that we actually have a very strong history of supporting refugees in cases when no one else did. Yeah, I'm up for that conversation. It's difficult to get into as a Scottish person because as much as I appreciate people trying to revive British patriotism in a kind of left-wing sense, just kind of makes me want to throw up. So Socialism Done Left has DM'd me. Let's see. Was it fun? Yeah. Thanks for doing the research so I don't have to. Yeah, Socialism Done Left did a debate with this guy, and he'd actually he'd read like a bunch of Doomy's sources before going into it. Who's that fucking author that I forgot the name? Simon George. That was it. The guy who claimed that the majority of people in the Soviet Union were New York Jews from Brooklyn. Imagine that. And he gave this source of like a quote of someone describing the membership of the Central Committee. And I was just like, is this really the source? Like some like two Russian guys passing notes between each other in the meeting going, I don't know. There's a lot of Jews here. There's a lot of Americans in here. Why are we doing the Central Committee meetings in English? Let's have a look. Lonerbox, how do you feel about Vosh? Do you think he's a lib? No. What was with the root? I don't know, but the thing is that's when you know, like, whenever you're arguing with a Nazi, like as soon as they start making, well, first of all, with the claim as a whole, but yeah, when they start sending you things like that have the fucking when they start sending you things like this, you don't really need to go any further, you know? Because this is just for people who already believe what you're trying to prove. You know? Thoughts on Kyle Kalinske? I don't know. A lot of these American commentators just kind of bug me. I think Kalinske, yeah, I've heard him say things I agree with, but I'm not really a big fan of like the populist left. I think it's kind of something that I don't really think it is a very good counter to the populist right. I think it's just, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that rhetoric, to be honest. Oh, okay. Someone's in DC. We're going to be talking to an incel. Interesting. Okay. Let's do it. Okay, round 2. Carlo, you're muted, but you're here.
Hold up, let me just exit the stream. It will be very weird from.
It certainly
sorry
will.
for accent. I don't come from English-speaking country, so I have this weird accent. I will apologize. I hope it's not too disgusting for you.
You're Dutch, aren't you?
No,
Or-
I'm Croatian.
Croatia. That sounded really Dutch for a second. I did not know there was any overlap there. Just my brain.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, I guess that's British racism. You think everything is.
Well, yeah, because everyone is the Balkans, right? Apart from Britain. Western civilization begins and ends
I don't
here.
know. Yeah. I don't know if are Balkans white. I don't know if there's still debate going on in Europe. I don't have idea. I feel like it's flipping off. Like
I'm
yes
not,
and no. It's like,
yeah, I'm not touching that with a fucking 40-meter pole.
well, I'm joking.
Mhm.
I'm making a joke because yeah. We talk about incels because I think I'm an incel, but I'm not like one of those incels. When you think of incels, you think of like fucking racist, sexist, which I'm not. I'm a big fan of Wash. I've watched your videos. Your videos on racism in Britain was pretty cool, because you discuss also Balkans, which is surprising because I feel like nobody on the left talks about the Balkans, which is sad, but we're not really that important, so I can understand.
Well, yeah, just like the place that I came from has a very small immigrant population, but a lot of those immigrants are from like Slovenia and places like that. But more north though. They're more like Polish and Lithuanian. But yeah, I met a couple, and I watched Zizek a lot, so I feel like that's my my Balkan correspondent.
Zizek, our fucking Slovenian master lord. I'm
Mhm.
kidding. Although he does Croatian too, which is interesting. I mean, let's be honest, Slavic languages are easier to understand with each other than anything else. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know how English is connected to Germany, but
Well, you
you'll be
guys used to be one
surprised to
country,
know.
so I'd imagine there's been a lot of communication between the two.
Yeah, and we also fucking did genocides and we did yaks in World War II. So we got everything. We got our skeletons. But we
Yeah.
did do colonialism, so
Before we start,
we did.
I've always wanted an explanation for the Croatian border, because the thing with the I don't know, I'll show it on stream just so chat.
Okay, hold up, and I have to go to stream. I hope it is not gonna be echo, because if it's echo, it's gonna be loud.
What I've always been curious about is what happened that Croatia were like, hey, we got all the beaches, and then Bosnia, fuck you. Like, one country gets to be
You're
the
incorrect.
white person
Hold up,
holiday
you're incorrect.
central, and then the other one is like, fuck you.
You're incorrect.
Like
There's a
gerrymandered
small
beach
part.
market.
Naum. Small Naum. That was small part.
Oh, you're echoing with your own stream, by the way.
Technically. They technically have Naum, so I will recommend you just Google Naum and you will find technically they have water, just a small bit.
Neum. Yeah, like what? Oh, yeah, because I can see it there, right? Is that it? Is that the little bit of beach that they've got in Bosnia?
I cannot go to stream without echo, so
Okay.
it's kind of okay. Hold up.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Neum is the Bosnian beach. Interesting.
Which is filled by Croatians. So yeah, our borders are like. Can I make this joke? I hope this doesn't come out as weird. As African fucking borders bad, you know?
Yeah.
Super fucked.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah.
Is that racist to say? I don't know. Lefties get really
Well, the
fucking
African
triggered by
borders
these
are
jokes,
bad
you
because
know?
of the British Empire, so it's probably not bad now.
Well, hold up. By European colonizers, because not everything is just because, you know,
Yeah,
Britain,
Dutch, the
Germany,
French,
Germany.
yeah.
So
Italian, yeah,
and
yeah.
the Belgium, Jesus, did you like hear about what Belgium did in fucking like Congo? Holy shit!
Mhm.
Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I did a
Yeah,
little
that's
stream on
why.
that once. Yeah.
Listen. You're gonna do cool. I'm just gonna say, at least, can I? At least I can say as a Slavic person, I'm the colonized one, not the colonizer. You know, I got that pass.
Yeah. Well, I'm half Lebanese,
Okay,
so the borders of my country were drawn in
I've-
Café in Paris in 1920 by some white guys who had never been there. So you know.
hold up. Are you? They actually do that in like cafe or you like joking? I'm not sure.
I
Like,
think it was. I'm pretty sure it was in. I was on. It was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was in a cafe. It might be apocryphal, but
Oh my fucking god!
bad anyway.
Jesus Christ. Well, our borders were a mess because, well, I like Tito, but you know, he did unify a country, but you know, it didn't go well. And our borders are fucked because of our fucking colonial history, you know, Austria Empire and fucking Hungary doing their fuckery. You know, because colonialism won't happen when you black, because whiteness just I don't know, I feel like when people talk about colonialism, they kind of ignore other parts, like how Italy, even though they colonized Africa, they really fucking hated the Slavic person. Like, you can find speeches by Mussolini talking about the. Hold on, can I just find some like about Mussolini, about Slavs? Let me just give me a go. I hope I'm not annoying, because I have an annoying voice. I apologize.
It's fine.
He was really anti-Slavic, even though our fucking Ustash, if you know about them, are like big.
Can't say I'm surprised.
Yeah, anti-Slavism, Islamophobia. Let me just give a second.
But yeah, I'm interested. Yeah, I'm interested to hear your your incel takes. Your non-problematic
Benito Mussolini viewed as the Slavic race as inferior and barbaric. He identified the Yugoslav Croats as threat to Italy, and he viewed them as competitors over the region of Dalmatia, which was claimed by Italy, and he claimed that a threat really at the end of World War I. The danger of seeing the Yugoslavians set along the Adriatic shore caused the bridging together in Rome of Cream are unhappy regions. Students, professors, workmen, citizens, relative men were interested in the ministers and the Protestant politicians. They claim often tendencies to emphasize the foreigners, Yugoslavs, and newcomers to the area, like the ancient Italians who the Slavs occupied. You know, because we are the evil immigrants. Basically, what Benito was bitching about Dalmatia.
Yeah, well,
it's funny because whiteness is bullshit. You know, it's interesting how whiteness makes no sense, but yet.
Well, don't tell the last caller that. Anyway, yeah, you had some takes on. You had some truth bombs on incels to drop on me.
So here's the truth. Incels are mostly sexist, but I think there's some truth that there's people who are chats. I know you're gonna laugh at this, but believe me, I don't think women are bad because they pick up chats. I think they just do it because they look better, they're more nicer, and that shit. I cannot deny it. Chats. I don't think women are bad because they pick chat. I just think they do that, and that's it. That's my take on that.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to talk about it? Because I'm kind of a feminist too. Although I feel like I'm incel too because I cannot really get laid. It's really hard for me, even though I don't know why. Maybe because I'm ugly. But when people tell that, they're like, "No, you're not ugly. How can you tell that?" And I'm like, "Jesus fucking, I help."
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I always, obviously, people like being good looking helps. I don't think anyone's going to deny that. Like, it's something that works both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, but people will say then, oh, come on, anybody can get laid. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Well, it
Okay.
depends. Like, I don't know. Personally, I've always found that putting weight on it, like just the whole getting, I always feel like that's part of the problem because, at least from my personal experience, like what's mattered much more was like being able to interact with and connect with people. You know, the strangest person I heard good advice on regarding incels. It wasn't even regarding incels, but do you ever heard of the golden one?
Yeah, he's like a Nazi who
Yeah.
surprisingly respects trans women. Hold up, this is weird.
I don't know if he
He's a
respects them, but
Nazi, but
yeah.
hold up. Well, he did respect Natalie or the contrapoise gender being female, so that's weird. I don't know. Nazis are
Yeah.
fucking weird, dude.
Yeah, so he's a
Well,
Nazi. I think his whole thing is to try and be the human face of Nazis because he's also kind of adorable in a little weird way. But he did this one video all about his one of his fans, like a Q&A, someone who had depression, and the golden one's advice was he said something like, he said get a girlfriend, which okay, that's kind of dumb, but then he followed up with saying don't go looking for a girlfriend, don't go trying to get, just learn how to, basically the way you are with guys, with conversation and with forming connections, interactions, just do that but with women, just and and if it becomes something like a relationship or something, it does, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. That's it. Like, and I just thought that's that's a really like simple way to put it, but I've always found that that is just kind of like that is the best way to go about it, because I feel like socially women are very, very well trained to pick up on a guy who is just looking for sex or is just thinking of her in that way. And I think that's why the incel thing is so inherently sexist, is because when you like think of it that way, then it necessarily leads to a kind of conclusion like that. But then again, I understand that people are lonely. I understand that it's harder for men to form emotional attachments than it is for women. There's a lot more, I guess there's maybe a bit more pressure put on men in that regard. So yeah, I can see, and more pressure on introverts. So yeah, I can see all the kind of I can see what produces the incel thing, but I just think identifying as such or looking at it in that way, I think can only hurt. To me, you're just a nice enough guy, like so far good conversationalist, etc., who is currently, I mean, these are the times, who is currently just a bit lonely, which is okay, you know? Like how old are you, if you don't mind?
the issue is, well, I'm 16, but this year in September I will be 17 soon. Which
Yeah, so like there's no
terrifying.
such thing as a 16-year-old in what the fuck? Like I don't know. Yeah, like when I was in school, like you were expected to lose your virginity, really, but come on, like fucking hell.
I mean, my brother
16.
literally talked about. Well, he literally talked to me like I lose the 15. You're pathetic. So he's not really helping me.
What? So do you think
He
do
used,
you
"I'm
worry that
50."
you're? Yeah. So yeah, but fucking hell, 16. What the? No. Just relax, dude. I'm so. I thought you were like.
I mean,
I thought you were gonna
I
hit me
don't
with
know.
some
When
like
people say
35 shit.
relax, and like, oh, don't worry, I'm like, dude, I know you're lying to me. Like, dude, why are you like? Be honest. Like, why you think 16 is young? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Oh, so yeah. 16 is very, very young. Like I know you. Okay, yeah. Whatever, young people, you guys, you think you know everything? Fuck no. This is so. Oh god, we took a long time to get around to the fact that you're only 16. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, anytime we talk about incels, we need to bring our fucking age because ageism is really cool with leftist community.
I mean, 16 is like that's age of consent in Scotland, which doesn't, by the way, mean that people over 18 should be with 16-year-old. There's a difference between age of consent and adulthood in this country. So, but yeah, like the state doesn't expect you to start having sex until 16. So, and fucking hell, like I mean, I know people who were 20, 21.
15 is
like,
age of the consent.
yeah, because
15 is age of consent in Croatia.
the European question. Okay, yeah, no,
Wait, hold on. Are you
got
saying
nothing-
a
you got
European
nothing
age
to
of
worry about.
consent or accepti excuse me, are you bitching about European age of consent? Okay, I'm having a weird why. What's your issue with them? I'm curious
I
now. I feel
don't like
offended as European.
there's a really bad precedent in Scotland with the age of consent being 16 because every fucking year some dumb shit teacher thinks he can start sleeping with one of his students when she turns 16, gets fired, acts surprised, while
You
he
kind of make
stands
it.
up in court going, "Oh, I don't know if
well-
the age of consent 16." You know, fuck it. Like,
Well,
yeah,
it's
there
interesting to me
there are
because the
issues
teacher
with it.
thing, don't get mad at me, but the teacher thing, I'm a feminist, but this is true. It's mostly done by female teachers than male ones because mostly jobs given by teachers are female. Like my teachers are mostly female. So
Hmm.
the sexual assaults in schools are mostly done by females. Do you disagree
Oh
with
yeah,
that?
you know, it can be female teachers as well. There's no difference. It's abuse. So yeah, regardless.
Yeah, it doesn't make listen, I'm not like weird male right activist who wants to better word yet bitches about feminism actually doing shit, you know. They always say I want to make male lives better, but yet only bitch about females. I'm like, you know, you couldn't agree on more upon what you bitching about. You know, you can unify. I guess hating females is more important than actually getting shit done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. My advice to you is don't worry. Don't and stop calling yourself an incel. Maybe when you're 30, you can, or I don't know, 20. I don't even want
Dude,
to say an age
I don't
because
know.
there's even to say 25. Like I know people who were 25 who maybe even later, and it's like, nah, big deal.
Well, I'm
Like,
an incel because I believe in this thing. I believe there's thing as Chad. I believe that exists.
okay.
I think that makes you an incel, doesn't it? Although you need to be sexist. I don't know. Some people say you don't have to. Some people say you have to. I don't fucking know anymore.
I don't know. You're pretty learned for your age. You can definitely spin that to a Chad angle.
I don't know. My. Can I just talk about how weirdly Chads who I met are mostly sexist? Like they will act nice to girls, but then behind they will bitch about feminism. That's a weird thing that also happens. I don't know if you
Yeah,
noticed that.
I even noticed that amongst progressives. When I used to play in bands around the music community, you'd have all these kind of like effeminate sort of what would you call them, like skater boys, who would they would dress effeminately and they would present all the aesthetics of feminism and progressivism, but then they would go about talking about like boasting about groupies and shit like that. So yeah, it's there is and as
my
but like
brother, or my
I'm guessing
brother.
these are people you go to school with, right?
No, I actually go to school. This is middle school, because Croatia is different. You know, we have primary 8th grade, then we have middle school, then we have college, or we call it faculty. I don't know how you call it. I think you have college. You can go to English.
Mm-hmm.
But we have 24 students in our class. We go in economic school, and it's mostly female, so it's really fucking awkward for me. It's not bad. They're mostly nice though.
Mm-hmm.
It's 20 females and 4 guys, so you know there's some weird dynamics. You can look into it if you want to.
I don't know if I need to really, but like I don't really. There's no you don't have a problem. Like first of all, yeah, just don't. I don't. I think visualizing the world as chads and chuds and fucking inside. Like don't do that. Just you're you're a guy
Also,
with
you know what
knowledge
I
and
hate?
interests.
You know what
Like
I hate?
that's more you can say for most people your age. Like what?
Okay, can I just also say something? It doesn't help my case. I go on TikTok a lot, and there's so
Fuck
many
no.
fucking posts about. Listen, let me finish. And there's always posts about fucking anime women, and it gets me mad, dude. I don't like the culture about anime women. It's so weird to me. It's so sexualizing. And I'm
Yeah.
worried. This is not real. If you're gonna have fun, have with a real girl. Okay, I feel this weird objectification, well, not reality, is terrifying to me. Because what relevant? I don't know. It's super scary to me. I don't want to fall into sexism because I feel a lot of people who post like those type of shit probably say that 2D is better than 3D, if you know what I mean. I don't know if you've been in anime communities, but
I don't. I've never
I have
anime.
been in one.
I've only ever watched a couple of animes. They don't really do it for me. But again, like I don't. I'm struggling. Yeah.
True. I'm
like-
a Chad. Fuck anime. Anime is degenerate. Okay, fuck anime.
Okay.
Anime is degenerate. Thank you, Chad.
Yeah. So yeah. I'll second that.
Yes, I hate Wafism. It's too fucking weird for me. If you're gonna have fun with a real girl, it's disgusting, and hentai is also really fucking rapey. Okay, it's super weird. I have fun with it, but even I question my reality when I do that shit. Anime was a mistake. Yes, anime was a mistake. Down with
Yeah.
anime. Yes, Chad. Rise up.
You're in a very you're obviously you're in a very confusing time of your life. Like, yeah, you'll have
Yeah.
questions, you'll have
Also, I'm economically
insecurities.
fucked, probably.
Yeah, you're
You know,
16.
and
Yeah.
it's super weird. Well, yeah, but what the hell gonna do with my life when I go 18? I have no idea. It's super weird. I'm scared. You know.
I'm not really
Yeah,
sure
I
what to
know
do with
Rick
this
is
call
bad.
anymore.
Can I just post a final meme or anything?
Yeah, do a final
Listen,
meme.
yours trans rights and Black Lives Matter. Dab. Goodbye, everybody. I'm sorry if I wasted your time. I
No, you
apologize.
didn't. Okay, take care, buddy.
Bye.
That was really, really fucking weird. I don't. What the fuck? You know, when I was 16 and I like did something stupid, it was on like MSN Messenger or on Bebo.com or MySpace, if even that. Sometimes I'd write it down in a little journal. I didn't take it to fucking YouTube. Jesus. I might trim that section. I don't really want that guy to be having that conversation out in the ether forever. I mean, that was fairly interesting. I don't fucking hell. When I was 16, people were so stupid. The fact that he understands like the colonial nature of borders, the fact that he knew about King Leopold in Congo and had opinions on whiteness and fucking that's so weird. Yeah, back in my day, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The strange generation. And yes, I am a boomer. At 16, you thought all feminists were militant. Yeah. All feminists are militant. Name one. Name one woman. Alex Hansen, whatever happened to that workers' strike in India? I'm afraid I don't know, but thanks for the $2. I'm unfortunately confined to Eurocentric politics for the time being. Does anyone else have any contentions that... Yeah, someone link the Discord and YouTube. Someone wants it. I don't know. What kind of content is there on YouTube? I might do a little react and then bugger off. What do you think about left YouTubers with very high incomes? I don't give a fuck. Yeah, this thing came out recently with yeah, I might do a little bit on this. So that thing that I'm assuming it's referring to people like Sean, Sean and Abigail and all that. I don't care. I think that whole like Vosh Destiny debate, like, I don't know. I like if you've ever heard of tu quo que fallacy, the fallacy where you sidestep the argument and attack hypocrisy instead. I think Vosh calls it like gesturing at imagined hypocrisy, but the point is, it doesn't even matter if the hypocrisy is imagined. Like, if a fucking serial killer gets up on a soapbox and says it's wrong to kill people, what they've said is correct. They're hypocritical, massively hypocritical, but they're not wrong. And the same thing with lefty YouTubers who make lots of money. Like, I think maybe you could argue that they should. I'm not in favor of people hiding their incomes when they make money off Patreon and stuff like that, because I think it's fair to let people know what they're contributing to. But you can still guess if it says you've got 3,000 patrons and they're $5 each, you can guess how much money they're making roughly. So, but yeah, Amy in YouTube chat. Yeah, and because I knew someone who studied like logic philosophy, the appropriate term for that is tu quoque fallacy. The point is that it doesn't matter if the hypocrisy is imagined or not. If it's a real hypocrisy, that doesn't, and you attack that instead of their argument, it's still a fallacy. Because being a hypocrite isn't the same as being wrong. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah? Yeah? I can see why debate lords don't say tu quoque because it's makes you look like a fucking... Oh! Look! The Surfs are in chat. Surfs, YouTube chat. Hello! I'm a big fan. Have been for a couple of years. Holy shit. Hello. Very good to have you here. Woof. Levi Johnson with the $10. Someone tell the kid that as long as he treats everyone like people with their own lives and emotions, in 10 years he'll be getting laid and in relationships with the best. Okay. Yeah, I think we're maybe done with advising the sex life of a 16-year-old. But that's good advice. Treat people like people with emotions and understand that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You should watch the video titled "Team YouTube Suppresses Historical." Yeah, I've heard it. That's in my it's in my list. Cynical Historian. That was Infidel Castro with the $5 again. Thank you. You've given me quite a lot today. What a boss. Tell you what, guys. I'm gonna make a quick bathroom break, and then I'm gonna come back and decide what I want to do next. I don't know why there's like it used to be so easy to get people in YouTube chat who wanted to debate, but I think the novelty's worn off for a lot of them. Anyway, I drink too much water, so I will be right back. Okay. Oh, that was speedy, I think. Yes. Right, I did have something else to talk about. Someone wanted to talk about fucking patriotism. Where is that clip? And who's the person who wanted to talk about patriotism? Patriotism is it defeating? Where's the one of him on the show? Yeah, okay, let's watch this. Let's react to Good Morning Britain. And let's see whether or not patriotism can be appropriated by the left to bolster progressive causes particularly in a nation where uncritical nationalism is kind of a problem. Jesus. Muted. Holy shit. That was a very loud advert in my ears. Okay. Wait, I can't full screen because of my Discord chat, can I?
So many of the government ministers right now have the Union flag in the background when they do an interview. It obviously, shows that they believe in the country and that's very important to them. Should Labour take a leaf out of their book?
Well, it's interesting what you say. It shows they believe in the country, and
This was so fucking stupid. Did you guys see this? That Labour leader Keir Starmer, probably the least imaginative person that has ever set foot on the planet. Remember, he in the fact that we have probably one of the most cynical, negligent governments, conservative governments we've had, incumbent governments that have been in power for over 10 years, and who have just presided over the worst death rate in the world with COVID-19. And the leader of the opposition, after their supporters spent a very long time saying that Corbyn should be 20 points ahead, Corbyn should be ahead, why is he not ahead? Still can't get a lead in the polls. And Keir Starmer's solution to this was to make sure that there were Union Jacks in the background while he had photos taken and did conferences and did speeches. Like, what fucking meeting or like light bulb produced that thought? How fucking insulting to the average person. And I'm Scottish. I don't have the. I'm especially bigoted against the average English person. Sorry, but this is not it. Obviously, when word got out that he was doing this, everyone thought, even the people who would fall for this just thought, "Is that what you make of us? Like, you fucking idiot." Guy who looks like Richard Spencer as well. What are you gonna do? That's what this was over. But then it did spark a somewhat interesting discussion, maybe, in patriotism. So that's the context. Anyway.
Actually, I think when you talk about loving your country, deeds are more important than words. And so you have a situation where, as you on this program have regularly pointed out, children not being fed properly, our NHS often not coping because of years of underinvestment. You judge people on how they love their country by their deeds, not their words. And if you judge this country by its deeds, I would say you could question whether it loves this country, whether it loves everyone in this country equally, given the inequality that we have.
But Clive, you wrote a very interesting piece, Clive. I read it with great interest, and you make some very good points. My issue with it really was this. Every country has a checkered past. I mean, you can take any country in the world and you can pick out 20 things they should never have done, that they should be ashamed of. But that doesn't mean they can't also celebrate their country. And
Piers Morgan is so fucking dumb. Every argument he makes is just like got so many holes in it. It's like one of those fucking cheese blocks. Like every country has a equally. Not every flag is linked to ravaging the entire a quarter of the world. That's pretty specific to certain countries. Anyway, I'm not going to get hung up on Piers Morgan's brain. We've done that before.
One of the most, easy, effective ways to do that as a country is when England play football or we have the Olympic Games, out come the flags, and everyone feels proud of their country. It's a symbol of pride, whereas I felt from your piece you're trying to angle it more as a symbol of shame.
No, that's not true.
Who has ever said that? Shame. This is like the biggest straw man you'll see. Like, no one is saying we should be ashamed. It's like the whole thing, like, you should be ashamed for being white. Like, yeah, maybe if you search hard enough on Twitter, you'll find someone with 20 followers who said that and somehow went viral. Yeah, I don't know how someone can just exist on this planet for so long and do this as a job and come up with these kind of arguments. Oh, all countries have done bad things in the past. Also, you're telling us we should be ashamed. What?
I think what we need to understand is that countries are complex, and the issue of patriotism, which I'm not against, is complex. But what I think becomes offensive is that there are certain shorthands that have been appropriated by some sections of society, some political parties, some commentators, which mean that they want to tell a fairy tale about this country's history. That's what Black Lives Matter was a big part about. It was about telling the truth about our history. And yes, we all know that there are things like Black History Month, and there are things where we discuss that history. But we as a country, I don't think have ever unpacked that in a way where there is a consensus, where we discuss it openly across all sections of society, across all political parties. There are some who wish to tell a fairy tale about this country. And until you can unpack that, then I'm afraid to say using shorthand like a flag or the cut of tie that you wear sometimes can be seen by some sections of society
let's bring in Dominic Samuels. What do you feel about that?
I don't know, I feel like it's a bit of a misunderstanding of what patriotism actually is, and that's because you're immediately associating it with negativity, which is obviously that Britain does have a complex past, but patriotism is about loving your country, it's about being happy to live here, and it's about wanting the people within your country to succeed. I lived in America for a bit, and it made me actually appreciate my country more. The food, the culture, the TV, even people like Sir Captain Tom Moore, which are...
That is true. I went to America. I've been to America 3 times, and being back here is when you're there, you do feel very, very appreciative of where you come from.
Epitome of what being British is about. So I don't think that being proud of your country should immediately be associated with living in a fairy tale.
Dominique, that's really interesting when you make the comparison to America, because sometimes, for instance, when we saw the assault on the Capitol, when we hear people describe themselves as patriots, sometimes that can have ever such negative connotations, can't it?
Yeah, I mean, everything has different connotations, but I think that's because people often make a conflation with ethno-nationalism. They kind of see patriotism and that as the same thing when they're actually not. Various polls show that ethnic minorities in particular have a strong sense of British national identity, even more so than left-leaning young graduates.
Left-leaning young graduates. I wonder what her affiliations are. Yeah, that is very, yeah. But that makes perfect sense because immigrants made the effort to come here and the people who were born here didn't. Yeah.
As some polls have shown. And
by that token, you're ever arguing with someone who's against like immigrants and their whatever national unity, if anything, the people who owe the state, by their logic, the people who owe the state more evidence that they actually want to be here should be the locals.
And that's the big problem for Labour. It's the fact that the Conservatives seem to have gotten the patriotism thing right, because often with people on the left, they base patriotism on our public services, whereas for a lot of people on the right, patriotism is more timeless. It's about being proud of our history.
Okay, well, let's bring in Owen Jones. I was struck by one thing that you did, Owen, the last few days. You expressed support, or you said that you had privately supported, I think, the Reverend Gerald Robinson Brown, who's a black ordinand and former Methodist minister, who tweeted this about Captain Sir Tom Moore. He said, "The cult of Captain Tom is a cult of white British nationalism. I will offer prayers for the repose of his kind and generous soul, but I will not be joining the national clap." Now, he got heavily criticised for this. He deleted it. He apologised. But I thought that was a disgraceful thing to tweet, not least by a member of the clergy. But you were supportive of him, I think, against the backlash. But what did you feel about his initial tweet?
No. Fuck off.
Those don't reflect my sentiments. I just don't like watching someone getting ripped apart by the press in such a vicious way. I sent a message privately to
Piers Morgan always does this, by the way. He always takes on a left-winger and tries to get them to defend something that they don't agree with. And you can tell he's prepared to say, Owen Jones is prepared to say, I don't actually agree with the tweet. Yeah.
to see if he was okay. And, you know, people who often talk about free speech in this country, And I think people have the right to say things even if people disagree with them. I mean, look, the thing about patriotism, what do I mean? I was introduced saying it could be dangerous. I am patriotic. I think there's nothing more patriotic than wanting to rid your country of injustice. What shows more love for your country? Wanting to feed all your children or putting a flag behind you? And when we say it's dangerous, and I do think, the way it can be dangerous, I think you're an example, actually, Piers, and I'll give you an example. I'll tell you why. In the 18th century, the great English man of letters, Samuel Johnson, said that patriotism is the last refuge of a scoundrel. And he didn't mean that patriotism was always wrong. He just meant that politicians could cynically use it. Take this pandemic. Throughout the pandemic, those who questioned the government's strategy, which has led to one of the worst death tolls on the face of the earth, were often, including yourself, courageously taking on the government, often were called unpatriotic, suggested we were doing the country down. And that
He knows exactly how to deal with this person because he knows that Piers is insanely sensitive, and telling him that he was courageously attacking the government for the COVID response. Yeah. I don't know. A lot of people give this guy shit. I think he's really good at what he does because he's been able to stay within the British media without compromising on his positions as a left winger, which is very, very difficult. AB with the $1.99. Tell us your story about being in the US. Well, I don't know. I went there. It was good. Went there for a festival once. Other times just went to New York, like family in Georgia. Yeah, it was cool.
That's the problem. It's the way it's used, my country, right or wrong, and the way country and government are often treated as the same when they're not. And that point about history, by the way, I think is really important because we don't talk about our history enough. There is a proud history in this country. It's of people who stood up against injustice, often called unpatriotic at the time, by the way, the suffragettes, thrown into dirty prison cells with tubes forced down their noses, the Chartists in the 19th century, the first great working class political movement on earth, the trade unionists who fought for workers' rights, like my great granddad who had his wages docked for going on strike in the general strike, the people who fought for the welfare state, the National Health Service, people who fought racism, sexism, homophobia, spat at in the streets, demonised by the media. Those are the giants on whose shoulders we stand.
Yeah, but you see, I would agree with that.
Patriotic to know that history.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
that
What I don't agree with is a kind of demonisation of patriotic symbols like the Union flag. In fact, I don't think there's ever been a more important time to fly the Union flag, frankly, as the whole Union looks like it's under threat. And I'm not sure that patriotism, if your first thought is all the negative stuff, I think that actually in the end, that clouds what the purity of patriotism is doing, which is just a pride in your country. It's always going to be hijacked by nefarious people. They're always going to try and drape themselves in the patriotic sort of emblems of their country for nefarious reasons. But we shouldn't lose track of the fact you can wave a Union flag and just be proud of your country.
Yeah, but I just think people make a country, not flags. And I think it's interesting. Often, take the Daily Mail, for example. The Daily Mail will call itself patriotic. But if you read the Daily Mail, it's often just a litany of things it doesn't like about Britain. The BBC, the NHS, the welfare state, trade unions, multiculturalism, various minorities.
Yeah.
We all love parts of our country, and other parts of the country we don't love so much.
I don't think the Daily Mail today in any way
Doesn't like the
is
NHS.
anti the NHS or multicultural Britain or any of those things. And full disclosure, I write for them. We come on. That is not reflected.
Daily Mail, by the way, the far-right newspaper that Tim Pool uses as his primary source. Daily Mail, that if you Google search Daily Mail Muslim,
what the Daily Mail today is, and we both know that. You have a historical antipathy towards all things Daily Mail. Why don't we end with Clive? Clive, what was your reaction to Reverend Gerald Robinson-Brown trying to frame the clap for Captain Tom? Because I got very angry, I have to say, with people like Beverly Turner, the TV presenter, trying to turn this into some great stand where, you didn't have to clap for Captain Tom if you wanted to, and I did. I thought it was
okay. So there's a few really good points in here about patriotism and how you deal with people like Piers, because, unfortunately, Piers just reflects the ideas of so many people in the country. If you've ever, had a friend who has a dad that is from the UK, or in rural Britain, if you ever go to someone who lives in the country, go to their house and meet their fucking dad, holy shit, they're a fucking script. They're scripted entities. with the same scripted responses to every like opinion. So, like, people are romantically attached to their country. The problem is, they tend to be only sold on a very narrow fairy tale based story about their country. And what I've always found from experience is, as soon as you demonstrate that you know the details of the history that they're romanticizing more than they do, they listen. As soon as you show that you understand like the past of like the stories of Winston Churchill better than they can, or stories of the British Empire, or famous British historical movements, like that's how they listen. Second thing is, like the Daily Mail constantly railing against Britain's achievements, like the NHS, like immigration, like pro-refugee sentiment. Right now, currently, there's that whole thing where people are freaking out because about 8,000 refugees will have come to the UK in the space of a year during lockdown. 8,000. And like, how do you respond to that? Well, from my experience, the best way to respond is, if you're the kind of person who says that we're the country that lived through 2 world wars, whilst taking in refugees from those wars, like, are you not proud of our history? Are you not proud of the fact that we were able to do that in the middle of a world war, let alone a world war that we were losing for most of the time, let alone now? And wasn't it under UN resolutions that were in part drafted by politicians from this country? Isn't it under those resolutions that refugees come here across boats and are allowed to do so to claim asylum? Like, I always find that's a really good way to spin those things, like, that they're the ones that are really not proud of our history. Or if they know everything about Churchill but nothing about the 1926 general strike, or about Clement Attlee and the Beveridge Report and the welfare state. So, yeah, Germany took 1 million. Yeah, okay. Compared to 8,000 in Britain. Yeah, they describe it as an invasion. They describe it as a breaking point. They describe it as a chokehold on the British economy. Fucking idiots. But the way, like, you can try to say, these are human beings, they're fleeing war. It doesn't work. They can't empathize. But, like, if you try to appeal to the better nature of your dad conservative, like, what if they don't have a better nature? What if they don't have humanity in them? Well, then just be like, well, why the country is not as weak as you say it is. Why are you doing that? It's all good having your flag up, but yeah. As for the patriotism thing, in general, I hate borders. I think the good quote is from Yanis Varoufakis, a very good quote, because it's got some really powerful imagery behind it, that borders are a scar on the planet. Like, literally just like scars. That always really gets me. So, but that said, if you're against that doesn't mean it. First of all, it doesn't mean I want to get rid of all the borders now. You probably have to fix a lot of global wealth imbalances before doing that, as well as geopolitics and war and such. The other problem is, if you're against borders, does that mean that you're against granting citizenship to immigrants? No, like we live within it. By the same token, I don't like the Union Jack. It looks weird. It looks fucking stupid. Let's be frank. Too much primary color. Out of date. Whatever. Aesthetically jarring. But appealing to that sense of pride in your rhetoric as a left-winger, I think is quite important. It's easy to do in Scotland. It's easy to sell left-wing politics in Scotland for that reason, because it got its foot in the door from nationalism. The biggest thing I've seen in Scotland, like the biggest mobilization of the unaffiliated left in Scotland happened during the Scottish independence referendum. And you'll notice that since that referendum in 2014, first of all, the rhetoric was inherently left-wing because it was against the austerity of the British policies of the British government, and because it was bringing everything into question. It brings the monarchy into question. It brings the British Empire into question. It brings Scotland's economy going forward into question. So all these things that we took for granted, the oil industry, it resets all those conversations, all these very old embedded presuppositions. So the left were massively mobilized by that, and you couldn't have done that without nationalism. Frankly. It's different in the UK, of course, because British nationalism is so much more intrinsically tied to power and conquest, whereas Scottish nationalism is it's emancipatory. For that reason, Charlie GMC, I am in favor of Scottish nationalism, yeah. Because you'll notice that after the Scottish independence referendum, all the new left-wing talent in the country joined the SNP, not Labour. People like Mhairi Black, Kirsty Blackman, these young, like, kind of squad-style MSPs, people who would, Mhairi Black, who would literally quote Tony Benn's speeches in her House of Commons addresses. So, yeah. It's definitely harder. Do I vote SNP or Labour? SNP. Well, the last time I voted, I was in a seat that was contested. So, Infidel Castro with another $5. Loving your country allows you to be indifferent to your people and to hate outsiders. Allows. Yeah, it does. Whereas if you go to the one of the most recent Scottish, before COVID, one of the most recent SNP Scottish independence marches, one of the chants and slogans on a lot of the people's signs was "Refugees are welcome here." So, would you say that loving your country in that context allowed them to be indifferent? And I've seen this happen to people in Scotland who used to be quite racist. Personally, I've seen this happen to people who, just for the sake of not liking England, took a pro-refugee stance because England's stance was so anti-refugee. I like physically watched that happen. I saw their brain morph. It's so fucking weird. Like, did someone in chat want to debate Muslim immigration? Why does everyone want to talk to me about fucking Muslims? That is like the number one debate request that I get is Muslims. I don't actually know that much about Muslims. I just lived around them for a few years, so that means I know more than every single anti-Islam commentator in the UK. Yeah, I did 2 videos on Muslims. Don't get it. Yeah, I'm happy to do it. Okay, another one wanted to talk. Oh, that was from 8 minutes ago. Cool. So I think we're done with this interesting, the patriotism. Are we doing another debate? Are we doing another debate? Type blood in chat. I've got one dono. I'll read that when it comes up and then we'll go to this. More debate. I've only been streaming for 2 hours. How the fuck do people do this for so long? Insane. Blood. Blood. Soy blood. Soy. I wonder if it's all these communism unmasked documents that are making my AB with the $4.99 had an old Greek barber in the US who lived in London during the Blitz. He got drafted into the British Army with little English. Nobody cared. Amazing. Yeah, like you get quite like because the British Army during the Second World War was 300,000 men. That was it. But then the British Empire also commanded another 300,000 from Africa, 2 million from India, a few thousand from the Caribbean and other places. Like there was many Africans fighting for the British Empire in the Second World War that there were actually people from Britain. It's fucking crazy. Anyway, let's debate. Rubber Ducky. Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I wouldn't say this is much of a debate, more or less like a question. I'm a lefty, and I come across a lot of righties,
Uh,
and they give me a lot of arguments that I don't know how to refute, and so I
well, you're
just had like a couple.
very. Hang on.
I
Do you
I
have
actually
any?
sent
Sorry.
your
Do you have tabs
immigration
open? Because
video
do you have tabs open? Because your voice is very choppy.
to one of my righty friends.
Can't hear me. I shall DM them. Your internet is lagging.
I'm sorry. Is this better?
Speak again. I think it is. It's not
Is this
as.
better? I'm sorry.
It's not your audio. I think it's your internet connection. You're very delayed.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's fine.
Hmm.
If you have no, yeah, it's fine. If
okay.
you have multiple tabs open, just close them. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll close your stream. Okay. So, sorry. Did you get what I said before?
No. You have to start again.
Okay. So sometimes when I'm debating some of my more right-winged friends, they come up with arguments that I don't really know how to refute. And recently was I sent your immigration not causing wage suppression video to one of my friends, and he had said that well, they don't cause wage suppression, but they also cause more crime. And I didn't know how to respond to that because he sent me sources that said that they cause more crime. So I just wanted to know your thoughts on that.
There are a couple of things. I mean, it might depend on the source. I'd be a bit skeptical on that. I'm generally, second generation immigrants are the ones that commit about equal levels of crime to locals because it's integration. As for the levels of crime, it depends mostly because, how would you say? Yeah, but I mean, it's mostly to do with age. Like most crime is committed by young men, like vast majority, and the average
Yeah.
age in the UK is 44. The reason we have so much immigration, I wouldn't even say so much. The reason we have it is because we're an aging population. Like British people are really fucking old on average, and there's going to be a disproportionate number of young men who immigrate. The average immigrant is younger than the average local. So young men commit more crime. Most immigrants are disproportionately more disproportionately young men, therefore more crime.
Yeah.
It's not an argument against bringing
Okay, that
against allowing them in. Like,
Yeah, no, that's not an argument.
because if that were an argument, then
He
you
had
know,
sent me. Here's the link. I DM'd it to you that
Right.
he had sent me. And I mean, it showed that there was an overall raise in crime, but I read the entire thing, and I tried the best I could to refute that.
let's see.
But I also had two other subjects after if you wanted to. It's not going to take too long.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is yeah. Generally, with the crime rates, it's like, so what crimes here are dropping, even though this was after the refugees came. So I don't know where the exact
Yeah, and
claim is that. Yeah, they're
I had
young men.
mentioned that actually. Yeah, and I actually, now that you had said it, I did notice inside that article that younger men are the ones who are being sent over,
hmm
and so that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, because if it's a pretty dangerous journey. So yeah, of course, and also just because that's how immigration works. It's about bringing young people into the workforce. Yeah, again, like, I mean, the crime increases in Germany were, again, it was overall crime, of course, because you're adding to the population. That's a terrible argument, but yeah, I'm pretty sure, wasn't the proportions actually lower? Let's see. Killings or attempted killings. Okay, so overall crime dropped to the lowest level since 1992. There has been an
Yeah.
increase in migrant crime. Um,
And I had mentioned that I wanted to see more studies done on migrant on native crime and native on migrant crime, because I feel like that would also kind of change the outlook on that entire article.
yeah. Yeah, and then there was a Sean video about that from very long ago. The one called Sargon of Akkad Can't Read was all about the crime rates in Germany. The end of it was. Yeah, that's another thing as well. And then, but I'm pretty sure refugees commit less crime. I'm trying to look for the.
If you have a article,
Actually, this
send
is well, yeah, this is this shows them overrepresented. So. Did you have something else to send me?
that is all, or yeah, that's all he had sent me.
Okay.
The other two subjects, if you wanted to, were I don't know how much you know about. I don't know how much you focus on gun rights in America.
It's hard for me to engage with because I come from a country
know,
where
yeah.
having guns doesn't add inches to your dick, and I'm quite proud of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I can try. I'm not actually anti-Second Amendment though. I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah, no. Personally, I am not anti-Second Amendment, and only because guns are so big in American culture that trying to take them away now. I mean, there's more guns in America than there are people. Trying to take them away now would be kind of it would be bad. You know, I mean, people would not stand for that, and I feel like that would cause maybe even some sort of civil war, and it's just not worth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also because it does kind of transcend political lines as well. Like even very Democrat voting states still have a big gun culture. So, but yeah, I think definitely the thing about America is that culture needs to change like very urgently because I don't know, like it's just so alien to me. That's why I kind of hesitate before I make any statements about it. But yeah, gun culture in America is just so fucking removed. It was very easy in Scotland. Like one guy went into a school and killed 16 people and then himself, and then we got rid of handguns. That was it. Done.
Really?
Yeah. That was in 1995, I think that happened. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. You know, I just think something like that would be way harder. I don't know how many guns there were in Scotland when they took them away.
Yeah, there were obviously a lot less. I just don't think I just don't I don't know how to put it, but I think definitely things like, I mean, what they do with smoking here, even that you couldn't really do in America. Like with, in smoking, they just you can't advertise it. Like they all have to be behind screens, so you can't actually see them. You have to ask for them, and you don't actually know. Like they can't advertise themselves basically in the shop. They're hidden. Do you know about that in the UK, the cigarettes thing?
I did not know that.
Yeah, like so they're on behind the counter. They're just behind the shelf, but
Yeah.
they're covered with screens. So you have to pull the screen down, and then you see the cigarettes, and then you get them. But yeah, so if you don't know what brand of cigarettes you want, then you have to ask what brands they have. Then they have to go through all the brands. Yeah, so and it's a good system. It's same with the smoking ban. Like, it did reduce people smoking.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, they did just raise smoking age in my state. I don't know if it was in other states, from 18 to 21.
Mhm.
In America. But no, in America, like, you'll be driving on the highway and you'll see billboards for cigarette ads.
Yeah, like, America's just got that free market thing to it. So
Yeah, the big whole capitalist thing. Yeah.
but I think with the main thing for me would be, like, rhetorically, for people who want, like, gun control. It's a cultural thing. I think people need to look at it the way they probably would here, which is where guns just are a very uncool thing to be into. When I was in school, like, the one kid who was into guns, no one fucking liked them, you know? They were just these, like, very starved for power, kind of, like, very massively insecure little bugger, who probably ended up joining the army or some shit. But that was it. That was all, or even, well, actually, maybe even less likely to join the army. Those kind of people. So I think really that's the best way, because even if guns became a thing in Scotland, I don't think that many people would want them because of that, for that reason. Because it's
I mean,
cowardly.
that's good. Yeah, that's good that the culture has really changed in those areas. Yeah, I would like that thing about the kid in school sounds pretty alien to me, because I feel like every boy in school always wants guns.
Yeah, it's very it's
In America, at least.
and that was like in the 90s, because I'm a boomer. But yeah, that was a long time ago, and I guess it would be even more different now. But yeah, I think I think people need to realize just how fucking stupid they look when they walk around open carrying a big assault rifle. I know the left have tried to do this kind of co-opting thing, like where Siobhan Head and Merrick will pose, like, with their guns. I just find it so strange.
So I'm gonna. So what would you say your political affiliation is, like, as in, like, idpol? Like, I would say I'm more of a socialist. What would you say that you were?
Yeah, I'd call myself a communist, socialist, libertarian,
communist,
socialist, whatever. Yeah, I don't really. I find, I mean, as far as online culture is, they're so interchangeable. I'll go with libertarian socialist because it saves you. Because if I say I'm a communist online, then I'd have to spend the first 4 hours talking about how I actually don't like Stalin, and them not believing me. So libertarian socialist, at least, it doesn't bring up those like jerk reactions.
Right. So I mean, and I know with I don't know if you call yourself, like, a Marxist.
Yeah.
But I know Karl Marx had said something about under no pretext should arms and ammunition be surrendered, or something, and or it's like, any attempt to disarm workers must be frustrated by force if necessary.
Yeah, I know that quote very well. My problem with it is that Marx was probably thinking about muskets, possibly revolvers.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry,
fair.
the workers' uprising is not going to be be carried out on the backs of gun owners. Like, what?
Right.
Like, against the U.S. military with fucking drone strikes and or tanks, and even tanks.
Mhm.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
What's the Vanguard gonna do against the U.S. government, the U.S. military?
right. I mean, yeah, switching to socialism in America would be more probably through democratic means than anything. I wouldn't say revolution is even possible in America.
Yeah, guns don't help with that. Same with, like, the guns are supposed to protect you from tyranny. It's like, your assault, even assault weapons. What are they gonna actually do to stop you from the state?
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, like drone strikes and tanks, and your AR-15 is not going to go through a tank.
Nope.
And so the last, if you don't mind, the last thing was incels, and I know you just talked to that other guy about the incels, and I had a little bit more in-depth take on it. I personally, I would say I sort of feel bad for them, and that doesn't give them the right to be racist and sexist, right? But more in the sense that they're kind of like, well, every other conservative, they're kind of brainwashed in the sense that they have to. I feel like toxic masculinity is more the problem for them. Um, and I would say most incels that are like kind of crazy. Sorry,
Yeah. I mean,
like
there's
like like crazy into it. They're more. I would say they're conservative, and with a conservative mindset that brings a lot of like toxic masculinity into it. Like, oh, the woman has to do the housework and the man has to go do this. And I mean, in this day and age, it's 2021. I mean, no one really wants to be told what to do through gender roles and stuff like that.
yeah, it's just that I think I mean obviously yeah, you can feel bad for, I mean I feel bad for incels, I feel bad for Nazis. I feel bad for the guy who fucking I spoke to at the beginning of this call. Like, yeah, you can
Yeah.
feel bad for someone, but at the end of the day, when they're actually um operating in a way that is harmful to other people, I mean, I feel worse for the women, you know? For every
Right.
incel, I feel worse for the women that they have to that they interact with and are viewing in most likely a very unsavory way. But I think like that's why I mean I'm all for communication and all that. Like that's why I do this. So yeah, it depends. I feel I always think people like that are just they just need to be sold an alternative. I think you can only go so far with making people like that feel stupid for their beliefs or for um, debating the shit out of them and all that. But at the end of the day, people tend to move over to the left because it shows them something better. And I think what you can show people like incels is that whether or not you're having sex is not a personality type. It's not an identity.
Yeah.
There's actually quite a lot more to life than that. And as
Yeah.
it just happens by pure coincidence, respecting women actually makes women like you. So
Yeah, it's pretty odd, huh?
I've heard the rumors anyway.
Yeah, no, I just think that if incels were to kind of listen and think maybe I should drop this bad rhetoric of maybe gender roles and stuff like that and telling women to shut up and stuff like that, they might
Yeah, well, like masculinity is the
yeah,
thing.
they
Is the thing that
might get a girlfriend or something. I mean, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever they want, I guess.
yeah, well, gender's the thing that's doing it to them, isn't it? Gender is like the thing that's ruining their
Oh yeah.
life. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Personally, I'm a gender abolitionist. I do not really like gender. I don't like gender roles.
Yeah.
You know. So
Based.
heck yeah, based.
As much as we can, yeah. Okay, my friend. Do you have any final words?
Trans rights
Yeah.
and Black Lives Matter.
Beautiful.
And have a great day or night.
Yeah, night. Yeah, take care, buddy. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
I do enjoy these chats. I know they're maybe not the best, the better content, although they still have 600 people here. So, fuck yeah. But yeah, that wasn't a debate. Like, if for anyone in the future, I don't think they actually said debate, although I think their message looked a bit more contentious than it actually was. If you want to talk, you can just say, like, because Infidel Castro with the $10, I missed this one. Germany changed how they count residency in 2017, which led to a temporary statistical increase in crime. In reality, crime has remained stable. See, that's the okay. Yeah, you can get really bogged down with all these like technicalities. It's difficult rhetorically because obviously you don't always have that those facts to hand. I feel like rhetorically people should generally be ready to get a claim that they can't answer, you know? And I always found that in some ways you can always find ways to just assume what they're saying is true and go with that. Like if migrant populations increased crime, then you could make the argument that allowing the births of white boys or just boys increases crime. You know, because in the future they will be more likely to commit crime. So I don't know, yeah. Because when they post these memes about crime, it's just very, like, you know, they don't actually care about the crime rates. Again, crime is also intrinsically linked to poverty, and immigrants tend to have less money than locals. It's all very like, yeah. Like, there are humanitarian solutions to these problems. Well, I feel like some of these were actually segment worthy. I can't wait to start streaming on Twitch and making little segments and having a chat that is like transparent. That would be cool. What's this? Not sure if gender abolitionism expresses people being encouraged to define themselves rather than just self-restricting definition. I don't know what that means. I wonder if I'll, what's that, oh fuck. I said I had that bookmarked, but I lied. What's that video about? There was some kind of like internet history thing. Who said that? There was a thing. Yeah, if I want to be a real streamer, I definitely need more peepos. Peepo fat, peepo hug, peepo corn. What's that middle one? That's a new one. I don't recognize that one. What is that? Yamiro? Who did that? No, it wasn't internet historian. Who was it? Oh no. Cynical historian. Yes. Did I Team YouTube suppresses historical? Hey, yeah. Yes. Because every time I make a video about fucking history, with the one exception, the algorithm does not like it. The algorithm wants Ben Shapiro and Nazi debates. There were 900 people watching that Nazi debate. Holy shit. Oh. We might have a debate before we watch content. Monarchy and Islamic crime in the UK. Okay. That sounds like good bait. Debate bait. Debate bait. Soy! The very varied topics. Okay, I can see them in waiting room. Can they turn their video chat off? Because that will I want one person with good internet in this stream today. One person with a decent audio and connection. Here we go. Heinz, you're live. Don't say the N-word.
We on the air. Can you hear me?
I can, and it sounds like you're a relatively stable connection.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I'm
I
giddy.
just blinded myself with my lighting setup, so I'm a bit disoriented.
Okay.
I say lighting setup, I mean I took this. Never mind.
Yeah, what's
So
yeah, there you are. Okay. Do you want me to show you on stream? I think I maybe can, but it might be a challenge.
yeah, sure. If you'd like.
You've got very I like the ears.
Oh, that's fucking. I forgot that I had those on. I thought I'd leave them on for the shits and giggles.
Yeah, I think it's a. I'll let chat see it, and then I'll put you back.
Sure.
That's who we're
Hi,
talking
chat.
to. Say hello, everyone.
Fucking cat ears and shit.
Yeah, I remember your name actually. You appeared in my chat a little while ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What's your story? What do you want to talk about?
What's my story? Right. So Islamic immigration and crime rates.
Mm-hmm.
When I talk about crime rates, I mean specifically homicides relating to honor killings,
Right.
rape, and FGM.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've across a lot of, not just the UK, across Western Europe, we've seen these things ascend proportional to Islamic immigration for a while, and I don't believe that that is an actual product of Islamic theology, but I do believe that it is a product of Islamic culture, of modern Islamic culture. I think that the British government has a responsibility to put more effort into integrating people from these immigrant communities, and if they cannot be integrated, they should be deported before problems can be caused. I'm talking about like renunciations of Islamic faith, that sort of thing. I think that Islamic private schools should also be outlawed. I think that religious schools of any sort should be outlawed, really, because I don't view religion different to any other sort of political ideology or philosophy. I certainly wouldn't want it like imposed on children through an educational system. I think that it's especially with Islam, because it's quite a volatile thing. I'm not like at its core, but I believe the way that it functions in the modern day is pretty dangerous in a lot of ways.
Religion, you mean?
Religion in general, but specifically Islam.
Okay. Maybe. I guess Islam is a big religion. I don't know if like you could necessarily look, if you look at like what happens in places like Sri Lanka and Myanmar with regards to Buddhism or Christianity in Central Africa. I wouldn't really say there's anything special about Islam in that regard, but yeah, with the idea of the thing, I haven't actually looked that much into honor killings. I always worry that it's just going to be another thing where I look and then I find like 3 essays through that it's like a statistical fuck up pushed by bigots, like the grooming gang thing. But yeah, I mean, obviously, as progressives, you know, I don't really think we should necessarily pull punches when it comes to religion, especially like organized religion behaving in very conservative ways. Because the problem with all of these religious forms of religious extremism is that they're insanely conservative. Like you can't really have honor killings and stuff like that without. Yeah, go on.
When you say organized religion, could you give me a more specific definition of that? Because I've heard that used.
International monotheistic, like global monotheistic religions, like not even monotheistic, but the big religions, like it's generally religions that are kind of centralized. So Christianity, obviously, with the church being the venue of centralization. Same with Hinduism in a way, mostly Islam and Judaism. Yeah, like the big ones.
I think I have something of a disagreement with you there.
Okay.
I would say that one of the larger problems with Islam is the fact that it doesn't answer to a central authority as religions like Catholicism do, right? Because I would posit, right, that the reason that the Islamic world is in the state that it is today is partially because Mustafa Kemal Ataturk abolished the caliphate in the early 1920s and Islam lost its central authority. Of course, there was the thing with the mandates after the First World War and all that, but I would say that a lot of it is down to the fact that Islam is decentralized and it splinters a lot.
Okay, so the problem I have with looking at the kind of, I agree with you that there is that it's not as centralized as other ones, but my problem with that is when you try to say that the problem with what's happening with a particular community based on the way the religion is organized, I don't think really holds up, because then you would have to prove how the more decentralization, then the more of these problems. Whereas if you look at, say, massive difference when it comes to centralization is Protestantism and Catholicism. One answers to a very central authority, the Pope, the Catholic Church. The other one is massively decentralized Protestantism. Like that's one of the defining differences. And I don't think when it comes to religious conflicts between those two that centralization really made a difference. So I don't see that as a very operating.
I don't mean so much in terms of conflict. I mean in terms of the actual practices and positions of the various splinter groups of those religions. I think that there's more opportunity for reform if a particular religious group answers to a central authority.
Could you prove that with Catholicism? Because as far as I can tell with the history, like Protestantism and Catholicism have both been massively different when it came to centralization, but also quite equally brutal in their worst excesses.
It's been quite equally brutal, but I mean, like, I'm not saying that there will be more reform. I'm saying there is more opportunity to reform those sorts of things, right? And you know,
yeah. Tell you what, your first point, your like original claim was about FGM and honor killings.
yeah.
Are those? This might seem like a weird question, but how specific to Islam are they? I'll tell you what I mean. The problem with one of the popular talking points was about FGM in Muslim countries in Africa. When you look at it,
Yeah, one of the worst places for it is actually not Somalia. Yeah, it was Somalia.
which is predominantly Muslim. But then one of the other worst places for it is Eritrea, which is Christian. So if it's not Eritrea, it's another Christian country next to it. But the problem there is
I probably agree with you that Christianity can be equally brutal in these things, but the problem that we're dealing with right now in the UK is with Islamic immigration, right? You're not going to hear about roving gangs of Christian extremists going around.
yeah. So which is why, although right-wing violence in the UK is still worse than radical Islamic violence, pretty sure.
Oh, certainly statistically speaking, but I would say that violence that comes from radical Islam is usually much more ideological in nature. Like that was bad phrasing. Sorry, it's usually more targeted towards specific groups, usually other minority groups, and it's usually much more brutal.
Yeah. So with your point about when you made the point about FGM, like with the issue when it comes to at least in the case of Africa, is that FGM is not necessarily a Muslim thing on that continent, but it's a Central African problem. It's that entire geographical area, regardless of its religious faith, that has FGM for very elaborate geopolitical reasons. So the fact that like you even said that if it's specific to honor killings and FGM that happens in the UK, but that doesn't mean you would look at particularly the faith of Islam. You would maybe look at I don't know, things like the way that we allow that to happen with regards to not even just integration, but the way with like foreign policy and the way that we there are like progressive Islamic movements around the world. We just choose to fund the people who crush those movements, and the biggest exporters of the branch of Islam that does FGM and honor killings is Saudi Arabia, the biggest exporters, and we support them. So
we actually support arms deals. I mean, that's a much broader issue. I'm speaking more about a direct solution. I'm speaking more in terms of like direct solutions to the problems of the crimes that we actually have domestically.
And the UK. Okay.
Yeah. Also, I can't actually give you a source on crime related to like Islamic honor killing practices in the UK. It's a BBC source.
Yeah, I've seen something here as well. Like I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not trying to say that it happens.
I'm trying to say that it's like a large problem in this country and that it's been steadily rising for quite a while.
So what do you think we should do about that?
Again, like I said, I think that we should have an active process of state-mandated secularization in the UK. I think that we should work towards banning religious educational institutions in general. Not religious education, like religiously oriented educational institutions, but more specifically Islam. We should work on putting more. We should work on putting more social programs into communities that are predominantly lived in by Islamic immigrants, and some of these communities are quite insular. And I think that maybe if we invested in lifting those communities out of poverty and policing them properly and giving them proper educational facilities, then it will become less prone but we should also focus those educational facilities towards secularization.
Yeah, so that's like as far so what I just wonder why you would I always want that's why I always kind of hesitate to go into the specifics of talking about like with regards to Islam, because it sounds like you want to abolish faith schools, and which is cool. Yeah, faith schools are dumb. Secularization, I don't know exactly what you mean by like pushing secularization by the state further than banning faith schools. You might have to elaborate on that. But then the other thing would just be, do you not feel like a lot of people in chat are saying mask off, which I'm trying to be charitable about. Do you not feel like there might be like kind of like a rhetorical issue with like focusing it on Islam, because it's kind of like you know what that plays into, right?
The majority, not the majority, but the majority of the people who are committing these crimes that are related to immigration and that are related to Islamic cultural practices are, it's predominantly Muslims, it's predominantly Muslim communities, and it's predominantly Muslim practices that contribute to these crimes. I think that we ought to focus on the larger problem.
But then
also, it's something.
Why the specific of honor killings? Because if the issue is because what I see there is, at least through my lens, is abuse and in some case murder of women, which is kind of like, I mean, that obviously it doesn't get called an honor killing if it gets done by a white guy, but yeah, like I'd say that that's like misogynistic violence. Like that is pretty endemic. It's nothing specific to Muslims. Do you think Muslims are more abusive to women in the UK than white people are? Out of interest.
I haven't looked into it enough, but I would gamble in saying that proportionally it is more likely. Yes.
You think so?
Yeah. Are you going to pull out a source? Are you gonna?
No. I mean, I have it as far as the sexual abuse thing goes. I've got plenty of sources. Yeah. As far as men murdering women, then I don't know, but I think you'd have to. That would be a strong claim, because that's ultimately like when people talk about this use this kind of language. Like
I would say ideologically motivated violent crime against women. Yes, predominantly Muslim.
Is misogyny not even like ideologically motivated?
Ideologically motivated violent crime against women. Yes, I would say that predominantly.
No, would you say that like if a misogynistic man just like murders a woman because she slept with someone else or whatever, how is that not ideologically motivated?
I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying that it's more likely that those cases occur in Muslim communities.
Do you feel a bit weird making that claim without any, if you don't have the data? Like, why do you think Muslims are more abusive to women?
I feel like this is a bit of a strange route to go down. Is what you're trying to ascertain here why I'm specifically focusing on the crime in Muslim communities?
Yeah, it's when you bring, it's like, because obviously, let's say it's a fact that honor killings, that particular kind of branch of misogyny and anti-feminist abuse is or anti-women violence is the one that relates to Muslims. But then if the issue is women getting killed because of misogynistic views, then I think you would have to show that there is something in Muslims that makes them more likely to do that, and show that they are more likely to do that. But if you can't prove that, then the issue is just misogyny.
I would say that it's not so much Islam itself, but the cultural practices of the places where these people come from. I'm not talking about like theological intricacies or anything. I'm talking about like the general practices of the people in these groups.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't say it's a theological practices like of the. I mean, we all know it's a very small minority. Like even the most damning evidence of honor killings is like there's like a handful, you know. So
yeah, it's still a pretty big problem, though. It's still something that I think we should be focusing on.
But if you focus, the focus though is men abusing women, right?
No, I would. Would you like to know why I'm specifically focusing on this crime happening in Muslim communities?
Yeah.
Because I believe that especially in the left, there is a certain kind of political exceptionism around this. Like it's often danced around. It's often the issue of these crimes being perpetrated predominantly in Muslim areas is kind of danced around sometimes in leftist circles.
Did you say the amount of crime that's being committed in Muslim areas?
Yeah.
Is that higher than in non-Muslim areas? Like adjusting for obviously economic conditions and such. Is that? Can you prove that?
Well, I couldn't say necessarily in Muslim areas specifically, but I would say that Islam in general, culturally is more.
No, but if you're going to make the cultural claim, then you have to back it up with the fact that there is more crime being committed in those areas. You'd have to start with there's more, and then say it's probably because of the faith, not the faith is more predisposed to crime, and then not have the evidence to show that.
I think I have a source on that in my message history with somebody else. If you could just give me a moment to get hold of that.
And I think you did actually make one point there that I kind of can probably meet you at. You said that the left tends to dance around culturally sensitive topics like crimes that are specific, like Muslim crime rates and such. Like, let's say there was that Muslims committed a bit more crime than the locals. I would first of all put it down to the age of the average age of immigrants. That's very simple, and because the immigrants are more likely to live in poverty. The two big predictors of crime, young men in poverty. So when I'm talking about if you're wondering why leftists do this, why, for example, I will be a lot more vocal and critical of something like Christianity than I will about cultural practices in Islam. One, just aesthetically, because I know Christianity. I've grown up with it. I've been around it my whole life. It's easy. Like jokes or not even jokes, but just like rhetoric against a particular faith is much more effective about something you know. If you want to, like, for example, Boris Johnson's jokes about the burqa, the problem with those jokes is that they sounded like someone who knew nothing about Islam. Like, the most brutal jokes about the burqa come from within the Muslim faith. So it's kind of like that whole thing about being part of the club. The other issue, maybe a bit more salient, is that I kind of feel like if I go down this avenue of honor killings, which by the way, there are maybe 12 to 15 a year. This is so fucking low. Like, that's nothing. And even if that were the case, then if I attack the cultural practices of, I'm not finished, sorry. If I attack the cultural practices of Islam, that kind of sounds like, even if what I was saying was valid, even if definitely conservative Islam, or because it's organized religion, it's more predisposed to conservatism than secular predispositions. Even if I was doing that, that kind of feels like the way that Muslims are treated in the UK right now, and where that rhetoric leads you, just kind of feels like if I don't like certain cultural practices in something like Judaism or Orthodox Judaism, yeah, I can feel that, but I don't see. I wouldn't make go into like 1920s Germany and start making a big noise about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
And again,
so you're referring to the fact that you believe right now that the current political climate is hostile and dangerous to Muslim communities.
Yes, and I can absolutely demonstrate that. Yeah, obviously.
Absolutely, but I would also say that it'd be, because of that, would be much easier to mitigate these crimes. There would be more political support. It would be easier to garner political support for taking initiatives against these sort of things. While it might be true that would come from a place of xenophobia and racism in the general public, it's still,
But what's so special about do you have like a policy in mind for like curbing the 12 to 15 honor killings a year? Like, this is really
12 to 15 honor killing. Well, when you say honor killing specifically, I don't think that we should focus just purely on the actual homicides. I think between 2010 and 2014, it was something like leaning towards 12,000 incidences of honor crimes. Honor crimes, not just honor killings, include things like forced marriage, FGM, assaults based on honor practices, violent assaults, and of course the murders. Right, like it's not just a problem with murder. There's a lot of nasty shit that goes on around these.
Out of interest, do you have
I could give
stats
you
of the same? Do you have stats of the same equivalent stats for what that's like in the Christian community in the UK, like abuse within the churches? Do you have stats on that as well?
Forced marriage and FGM.
Yeah, or like or just like murder for religious reasons, or yeah. Do you have stats on that within Christian communities in the UK, or Sikhs? I know Sikh extremism is quite a big thing in the UK. Well, for however many there are. Like,
I don't think that there's been much data collected on people being told to kill.
Have you looked?
Why they're vexed, but I'm taking a look right now. Yeah.
Do you not think it's kind of can you understand why I'd maybe be a bit suspicious that you looked for religious motivated crime for Muslims before coming into this conversation, but not for Christians?
I don't look for it specifically. It's just that when conversations spring up around these crimes, it tends to be
it's semantics. You had them prepared, but you didn't have a comparative analysis for other religious groups in the UK, which is probably quite important, right?
Yeah. Let's take a look. Actually, let me take a look at the other stat, because I don't know if it was just the UK or England and Wales, but because
I mean, I don't actually need you to look this up. I'm just like, the point is I'm just wondering why you didn't do that. Like, why didn't you want to compare them?
Well, I didn't. If I'm honest, I just saw that you were streaming and jumped in here.
Yeah, but again, like you had but why are you making the claim if you don't know the difference? If you don't know which religious groups are committing more abusive acts than others? Like we know how much abuse happens in the Catholic Church. Like every few years, like another church will come, or even like a fucking not far from where I grew up, there was a nursery that had been doing it for 60 years, like a Catholic nursery. They've been getting away with it for 60 years, like just abusing children. So again, I'm just wondering why you like what you're bringing up here, because you don't have a comparison. You haven't like shown me that Muslims are more predisposed to, basically it's like, as far as I can see, like abuse women in the name of religious practice.
I'm not trying to say they're more predisposed necessarily. I'm just trying to say that there is this large group of crimes that can be associated with these practices, and maybe that's something that we all focus on.
In what way, though? Like you said, what do we do about it? Because I mean, I'll maybe just throw in a couple of suggestions. One was that funding for crisis centers and for people organizations whose job it is to actually find where these victims are and make it as easy for them to reach out as possible. I'd imagine one of the reasons it's hard for Muslim victims to reach out is because of how alien like the system is towards them, but that's a different story. But yeah, like, and they've been massively underfunded by the Conservatives for 10 years. So.
That's kind of what I meant. Another problem with a lot of these honor crimes is the fact that they often go unreported. That's why a lot of the figures that we have on them are estimates.
Well, all abuse of women and children goes massively underreported. Yeah, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Again, you'd have to show that it's more underreported for Muslims than it is for locals.
It's very hard to prove a negative, isn't it? So I suppose.
Well, the reason people know how things are underreported is because people make these claims to other organizations that don't count as an in writing report. Like they, so yeah, that's how they gather the data. So they would be able to, I'd imagine. But yeah, like the issue seems to be so far like is just like misogyny again, like forcing secularization. Or was that what you said? Or
yeah.
So I can see abolishing faith schools. I'm completely in favor of that. But again, I don't know. You don't really need to be a secular. You don't need to be religious to abuse people. I can see why certain communities foster it more than others. But again, like what
Certainly,
do you want to do?
Religious to abuse people. I'm not saying that the cultural practices are the primary causes of crime, but I'm saying that they're often used to justify the crime. Like you said, the primary predictor of crime is young men and poverty, but it doesn't help when you have an ideology behind it serving as a justification.
Yeah, I never said it helps. It's just that if you're saying that the ideology doesn't cause it, which I agree. Like ideology doesn't really cause things. Like it's used as a justification.
I'm saying that it's likely a large contributing factor, though. Well, not likely, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like people who start abusing women just like I don't know if like just because the faith doesn't tell them to stop, like tells them not to do it. I don't know if that would really change much.
Oh, I don't think that we should change the faith.
But
if
even
anything,
like,
it's not so much Islamic. I think that we should focus. We should focus more. Not that we should focus more. I think that the state has a large responsibility to work harder on integrating these communities into the rest of British society.
in what
Maybe
way though?
these
Because I can see, I know a lot of like integration projects fail
like
because
you said,
there's
like you said, introducing British public services like what was the word? Introducing British public services like crisis centres to these communities in a bigger way.
yeah. So you can, if you want to have that discussion, then I don't see why it has to have anything to do with the Islamic faith.
Also, possibly diverting more resources into policing in these areas potentially.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen all kinds of contradictory information about policing when it comes to victims. Like often the last place a victim wants to go is a police station for
or perhaps
nicest place to be in.
Some sort of training for police officers in areas that are disproportionately affected by this sort of thing to better equip them to deal with these sorts of situations.
Right. So just to be clear, you don't think British Muslims have a higher propensity to kill or abuse people, right?
No, not necessarily. But I'm saying that they have a higher propensity to do those things with an ideological background.
No, but then how is misogyny not ideological? Like secular misogyny. How is that not ideological?
I say ideological. I mean, in the concrete sense, right? Like there's in certain cases ingrained and codified practices for how do I put this? Codified practices for oppressing women in this fashion in these cultures, whereas with plain old misogyny, it's much more raw.
So can you prove that Muslims do abuse people in the name of codified practices more than other religions in the UK, proportionately? So again, like this is why you didn't have comparative stats, though, did you? Like you just came in speaking about Muslims. I'm not actually saying I don't know. Like I mean, unfortunately, like I know a lot of people who kind of fall into this trap. I just think it's maybe in case you've ever wondered why people get suspicious when you talk like that, that's probably why. Like you could actually have had this entire conversation and spoken about all the best things that can contribute to solving this problem without ever once mentioning the practices of the Islamic community.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I suppose you're right about that one then. I concede. Shall we move on to the next issue, or would you?
Did you have another one?
I did actually. I don't know if your mod guy DM'd you.
He did, but
this is like a more broad.
Was it monarchy?
Broader issue. I said monarchy. I was just being inflammatory. I meant autocracy in general, the abolition of democracy in a socialist society.
Oh, you want to do that? That's cringe.
Uh-huh.
You want to get rid of democracy in a socialist society?
In the earlier stages of the socialist society, I guess you could say that I have a Menshevik streak.
Oh, fuck that. Yeah, I don't know. You don't say that out loud. How the hell? How do you expect us to advocate for a system by saying we want to temporarily suspend democracy? I don't know. I mean, I imagine a lot of these places, like, you can argue that in the past they became autocratic because of fucking Tanky in chat. Yeah, like I can imagine a lot of these places suspended democracy because they were getting invaded and shit like that, and it's harder to maintain a democracy in war. But as far as going forward, no, I'm not sold on that position. But you can try to sell it to me if you want.
Okay. Let me get my thoughts straight. I would say that an undemocratic system of government is more conducive to political stability than a democratic system of government. I would argue that democracy is easier to subvert and generally more corruptible than an autocratic system of government.
Why have most autocratic systems in the last century collapsed then, and democracies have survived?
Wait, could you repeat that for me?
Don't autocracies in the modern time seem to collapse much quicker than democracies do?
Well, yeah, but like you can't just use argument from example. It's
But you said they were more stable.
Works shtick. I phrase that poorly. I should say that it is possible to fall. It is. Wait, let me give me a second to think about my terminology. Nah, I'm laughing. I don't actually have any arguments for that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, fuck that. No, come on. Like,
Jesus.
I mean, I guess you could definitely say that. I mean, there are some things that in the world that maybe shouldn't be under democratic control. I like workplace democracy, but I don't really want a workplace democracy in a nuclear power plant. Nuclear power plants are just they demand a kind of authoritarian regime. Unfortunate, but true. They don't. But then, like, yeah, fuck, I'm not gonna. Yeah.
Would you be against a union for workers of a nuclear power plant?
Sorry.
Would you be against the workers of a nuclear power plant unionizing then?
No, because unionizing is strictly to do with pay. But yeah, you can argue about pay in a nuclear power plant.
It can also be to do with working conditions, and it can also be unionization could also be used to usher in workplace democracy, right? Like
well, then in that position, I would
a large union of nuclear power plant workers striking and doing other various political actions.
Slippery slope fallacy. They can get their control over pay without having to decide how often the fucking reactor gets serviced. Yeah, I think not bothered.
Yeah, well, not necessarily, but if you have a society in which workplace democracy is common, and that's not a thing that happens in a nuclear power plant, you could see why the workers of that nuclear power plant might want to use the power that they have in the form of the union to try and bring that into their workplace.
Yeah, well, get rid of nuclear power plants then. Green energy, fusion. But again, we have democracy now, and it hasn't led to people taking control over the nuclear weapons, even though we vote in the state. We vote in the people who have their buttons on the nuclear weapons, and it hasn't led to a mob rule over the nukes. Yeah, I'm not fussed. Any final memes?
Final memes? No. I will also say that I was laughing about the Islamic crime statistics as well. I just wanted to have random ass autistic conversation on the stream.
Well,
this was cool.
Cool. Yeah, that you got me. Consider this Chad cuck.
My man. No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Bless you.
Okay.
All right. Goodbye.
Yeah, I'll see you around.
Yeah, I got cucked. That went for so fucking long. I was so proud of myself. I thought they had conceded. I thought I'd actually just logicked someone into not saying dumb shit about Islam. Fuck you guys. You guys don't like it. I thought that was very interesting. Lonerbox, say Vosh bad now. I guess I just did in that sentence. Yeah, Satan. Especially since they'd been in my chat for like almost a year, wanting to debate about honor killings. My. The thing is, I've watched quite a lot of debate. I've never seen that before. Facepalm is correct. Yeah. Did I do that? Did I facepalm as soon as they said that? Autocracies are much more stable. Yeah, Pepe. Yeah, Satan, I don't know. It's hard to say, but like I'd never do it because, you know, doing things with my life. Let's see. There was a dono. We're gonna dig deep. Cat girls or femboys? What do I look like to you? Debate me on my terrible made up political views. Yeah. Pepe. Wait, what? I just want to see my super chats. Fuck you. Oh, here we go. What currency is that? Is that good? D man with the 50 DKK. Do you think there will be a BLM type movement for European Middle Easterners? Black and Emmy discrimination stats are startlingly similar in Denmark. Oh, it's Danish currency. That's a very good question. I wonder how they feel about that. I think BLM does kind of like did spark, at least where I came from, conversations about other persecuted minorities. Because basically, like, Middle Easterners are the black people of the UK in the sense that they get treated like shit. I don't know. I think there is. I mean, it's the kind of thing like, will there be a BLM version but for socialism? But like, yeah, the two they overlap quite a bit. I really wish there would be though, because being a Muslim in the UK must be fucking horrible. And I say that as someone who has been confused for a Muslim plenty of times. Are you planning on taking some bigger names on stream or perhaps collabing with other YouTubers? I like your content, but the Not a Nazi you had on stream today is a little low hanging, don't you think? Yeah. Yeah, well, welcome to the entertainment industry. Satan, hear me out, Lornabox, hear me out, man, but I'd actually argue black people are still, in fact, the black people of the UK. Yeah, true. Figure of speech, you know. Dumisani Muntali with the £2. When do you think she's going to take the mask off? Well, at the very end of the conversation, apparently. I didn't actually ask their pronouns, by the way, so I wouldn't take any guesses. Domhnall McGregor. I'll just say McGregor. I'm not good with other British names. With the £5, reform or revolution? I don't know, both. Like, we have revolutions all the time. We have revolutionary fucking, like, video editing software, you know? Generally, I'd say reform, but I heard this really interesting argument from David Harvey about the reform revolution was that essentially capitalism is in a stage right now where it's too big to fail, in the sense that a revolution like would just lead to so much displacement and so much power grabs and lack of, and like even just like collapses of industries and employment, that it's kind of hard to really champion it in the way that you used to be able to. But then again, reform has its problems because, you know, you reform, you get the NHS, and then they spend 50 years trying to dismantle it. So why not both, meme? Yeah. Why not? Why can't we just have soy and beach ads? I think you can be an anti-capitalist and a reformist, though, in a way. Like, there are policies that are around converting corporations into worker co-ops. And if every company becomes a worker co-op, or most of them, then that is revolution as well as reform. I think it'll be almost impossible to deprive people of the benefits that capitalism does provide. No, fuck that. If by benefits that capitalism provides, you mean the 17 yachts that some people get to own. The whole point in abolishing capitalism is so that the workers can have more of what capitalism produced, right? We're not trying to abolish productivity or competition or markets. At least personally, I'm not. It's a question of distribution. And as for consumerism, well, yeah, I mean, how much consumerism is built on capitalism just selling us things that we don't necessarily even want, like planned obsolescence? That's not like a consumerist benefit. That is just us unnecessarily consuming what we should already have. So, do you think UBI would be a good starting point for reform? I've spoken about this. UBI is very, very complicated. It can't work on its own because it's very inflationary. It needs to go in conjunction with a whole bunch of other things that actually make it useful. Because otherwise, everyone gets their UBI and then all their rents go up and you're just back to the beginning again. Have you seen the news about domestic British passports? Is that going to be interesting? Definitely not. What the fuck? But I'm looking anyway because it sounds like culture war soy bait. The decline of the British passport? Okay. I did not know there was breaking news on passports. Wait, what? Wait, is this true? British travelers forced to cancel holidays after passport office delays of 4 months. Yeah. But at least we got our freedom. Right? At least the EU isn't telling us to, I don't know. I've got a friend who orders clothes from European companies. And yeah, import charges to fuck. Like, all these little inconveniences. Before I did this, when I was involved in like youth work, the people I worked for had a giant folder in their office called Brexit contingency, a big plan for what to do when Brexit happens, or whether they even knew what to do when Brexit happens. Yeah. The thing is, people are so fucking stubborn that they'll tell you this is worth it. Nigel Farage, when he was debating on Brexit, would constantly say, I don't actually care if this is going to cause a few inconveniences or a bit of a bump in GDP, which, by the way, bump in GDP means people lose jobs. Means people lose money. So yeah, they did that. They sold that a long time ago. Unfortunately, economics just doesn't do it for a lot of people. Probably economic defeatism. People just don't think they are, like, a lot of people just are resigned to the idea that they're not worth as much as they actually are. Thoughts on Hassan Abi? I don't know. It's funny. And he's very good looking. I feel like the jug is like the stream hourglass, you know? But I'm surprised people don't do this. The whole benefit of drinking too much water is actually, yeah, I can feel it. Don't get headaches, ever. And if I do, it's because I didn't drink any water. Who is the hottest politician? Don't ask me those fucking questions. Degenerates. Scumbags. I have a dono coming in. I'll wait till it comes on stream. You know what, people? After this dono, I think we've had a good one. We had a Nazi, a very angry. He hasn't actually DM'd me. I haven't blocked him yet, but he hasn't DM'd me. I'm never looking back at that debate, by the way. Not watching it. Domhnall. I'm sorry, McGregor. Take on the revival of Scottish Gaelic. I didn't know it was coming back. The story about the Gaels is like really fucking interesting, though. Like, as far as it's very difficult to be a libertarian in Scotland because the system that, like, a right libertarian, because the system that they defend is it's just a complete product of autocratic displacement. Like, in order to get all the land and resources they needed for the Industrial Revolution, they had to just drive people off, like peasants off of their land. They had to get the army in and just drive them away. The Highland clearances. And the Gaels in particular were just pushed way up into the north. And then things like all the associated things, the racism and the dehumanization that went with it. An interesting figure to look at is the Duchess of Sutherland and the role that she played in that. And even to this day, a huge amount of land, I think it's 50% of land in Scotland, is owned by about 500 families. So, like, and these are basically people who owe their land to feudalism, the old aristocracy. It's land that is being used very unproductively, if at all. And the SNP have currently brought in a policy to mandate that if that land isn't getting used productively, then the owners have to sell it to get used for something productive. And the one party that is very, very against that is the Scottish Libertarian Party. In their manifesto, they compared it to Soviet collectivization. The idea that land that is traced back to aristocrats should actually be used for public good or some degree of public good. They really just want to use it for private companies to have it. Nathan Feeney, £2. Should the left support Scottish independence? Yes. I will make a video on this if another referendum comes or if it becomes enough of a topic. It's really the only way you can mobilize the left in Scotland. Anyway, my friends, my beautiful creatures, can I make a video on Irish independence as well? Yeah, one day. I guess it would be Irish unification. And yeah, it was a good stream. I will eventually move this to Twitch. If you want to see more of those when I start streaming to Twitch, which I will do, I will make that my regular. In the bottom, there's a Twitch link. Get on there. Subscribe to that shit. It'll catch on eventually. But I've had a good time. I hope you all have too. Don't be a Nazi. If you want to troll streamers for half an hour about views you don't hold, you know, whatever makes you happy, but maybe ask yourself if it really is making you happy. Okay. Have a good one, guys. Trans rights. Loner box radio edit. Soy.